Welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show. Right, I almost coughed. Right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. That's a quick catch right there. I'm not usually into my montage, my full-throated intro, and start to cough.
I was ready on the old button because I was wondering if something went awry. There might be something that follows that's illegal.
We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always, if you missed anything, go back, get caught up at your leisure, as we'll post both to iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the show if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. Hello, YouTubers and Periscopers. Yeah, we're good. You nervous? You feeling good? Everybody all right? Come on. We're going to be okay. Remember, it's all gravy.
I don't like it, man.
It's all gravy. We weren't supposed to be here. It would be nice to win. It's not exactly an expectation that I had at this juncture. No, I'm not resigned to losing. I'm just okay with it if it happens, because this team was not one that we thought had designs on winning a national championship. So the season, in my mind, was always going to end with a, unceremonious loss, I suppose. And what they've done instead is make it notable. Instead, we're there.
I'm singing in my head, give me just a little more time, and I don't know that we have it beyond tonight's game.
Doesn't feel like it, does it? I mean, honestly, as you sit here today, a lot of times we gauge, feelings, and we take the temperature. We get the pulse of the fan base. And some days I have a better read on it than others. Of course, it's my job to give you my opinion, and I like to base that oftentimes on something tangible, where I say, well, this means this, and this means that, and therefore I think this. But I really got nothing for you here other than, they're a baseball team that has surprised an awful lot of us with this run in the postseason. There was really nothing on the table that suggested it could happen. Luckily I had the foresight to tell everybody that it would. But admittedly, we've probably reached the end of the rope here. I feel like we're not very good. And we're still here.
We're pitching like we are a national champion is what we're doing.
I mean, we've scored one freaking run in 18 innings out in Omaha. We're still alive.
We've given up 2. We're pitching.
We are pitching. So if you get a modicum of hitting, Tom, your dream could live on. Ooh. I agree with you. It's my dream, too. It's just that I don't have any real belief that it's going to happen. So I kind of go into it loosey-goosey. It's it's a Balls Big Wednesday, not a Libations Friday, but I go into it loosey. I feel like, all right, whatever. It's all bonus play now. This is like extra baseball, man. We're in the 15th inning. Okay. I never thought this was going to happen when I bought my ticket. We're still here. This is fun. Okay. I'm going to ride, but I'm not going to get all uptight about it and freak out and, change and shift dramatically what I believe to be possible. I didn't think they'd win the national championship. I still don't.
I respect this opponent tonight. I'm not looking past it because I don't think we're going to beat
I'm
him.
in the present, Jeff. I'm not looking big picture the way you are.
I don't know that we could beat these guys because we've watched a lot of
sure
Texas
we can.
Tech.
It's baseball.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. On average, if you're playing
they play
100
a 7-game series.
Yeah, 7 games. I don't know because we watched a lot of them. The Oklahoma State series. It just happened to be kind of against the scheduling of FSU and LSU in Baton Rouge, and obviously now you're watching because they're in our half of the bracket. I don't know that we can get it done. Their pitcher isn't great tonight, but if we did, I just want one more crack at Michigan. If we don't get a second one, so be it. I want to see them again. And could we please do that? Give us 2 more days of FSU baseball loving, please.
Yeah, you're mad at Michigan. You don't believe in them. And they don't believe in us. And I think it's a similar situation fan base-wise. We were both one of the last 4 in. And so we look at the other one with a jaundiced eye. We're kind of like, oh, really? Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be here. But, Jeff, you guys were one of the last 4 in, too. Yeah, but we're legendary. They're not. They haven't been since '84. We were just there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I kept saying this on Monday was, we feel like we are destined to do something here. So do they. Just the same as we do.
Well, they do so more now than ever before. I mean, they beat a national number 1 seed and really should have swept them. If they don't commit 5 errors in one game, they do. And they still, they haven't lost now in Omaha. They really believe that they're a team of destiny. We sort of do. We believe that we've overachieved, and somehow we're still in Omaha, and we can't hit. But we're still there. and that's a cavernous ballpark. So, maybe you just slap a few runs up by scoring 3 on 7 singles and you win. It's possible because we are pitching that way. You're right. I haven't watched this kid pitch. I don't know to tell you that he's going to be good or bad tonight. I know that teams approach our lineup right now in a way that I would too, is they throw a lot away to our lefties, and our lefties are getting caught trying to pull everything. And, you got one kid who's hurt, so I don't blame Reese. He's not able to go with the pitch away. He's just hoping you make a mistake, and pitchers do. College pitchers especially do. And if you make a mistake, he tries to turn and burn. Great, that's fine. That's really all he can do at this juncture with that shoulder. But Mendoza isn't hitting when the ball is in the middle of the zone. He's pulling off of it. You're getting a lot of guys whose approach right now suggests that they're trying to hit home runs in a cavernous ballpark. Not a good idea.
Yeah, Martin's our cleanup hitter, and there's not usually much to clean up at all, and there's not much cleaning up being done.
No. Again, you don't expect to be in Omaha and still playing when you've scored 1 run in the 18 innings you've played.
I don't know that the lineup's been posted because there's another baseball game to be played. Starts in about 5 minutes due to weather issues yesterday. But would you move up Nelson? Would you give him a crack at it a little higher in the lineup, the way he's batting these last 3 games or so?
Well, to inject the righty into the lineup is what you're saying, to break it up a little bit?
Maybe. I mean, this guy's a righty on the hill tonight, but I'm just saying in general, by merit, does he deserve maybe some cracks in an RBI spot in the lineup?
I don't trust him that much.
He's turning in some quality at bats. It's not just on Monday. He kind of seems to understand the situation.
Well, I tell you what it does do is it does give me the sense that young man is going to have a great career here, because he's improved every day with his defense, and he's now formidable out there. I mean, he stops a lot of balls in the dirt. He's throwing behind runners. He's making those plays. If he starts to hit it all, we've got a bona fide next year. And I think this team is a work in progress that have surprised us to some degree. They got a chance to be a pretty good team next year. I know we don't want to look to next year. But given really the bulk of what they did with the schedule this year, there are enough data points to tell us they weren't a great baseball team. So to me, that really informs my approach in watching these games out in Omaha, is that, I want the miracle to happen. I know it's a funny game and weird things do happen, so I hold out a measure of hope that there's something in the air and they get to the championship round. And once you're there, who knows, right? But the reality is I don't think they're very good, and they've exceeded expectations, overwhelmingly so. You don't go into Athens against a national top 8 seed and dispatch of them summarily and easily the way we did, and you don't go into Alex Box and win those games without having a little something to you. So I'm proud of them. They proved to be better than I thought they were. They proved to have more moxie and heart than I thought they had. But they still got a lot of weaknesses and a lot of holes in the lineup, especially 5 through 9. They don't hit a lick. Those guys suck. They just don't hit. By and large, they go through long stretches where they don't hit, and you're just begging to get back to the top of the order. And now those guys aren't hitting. I mean, Salvatore is, but now you're not getting anything from the top either. We're just a blank slate right now. Maybe this is the night, right? That's what you're hoping. Maybe they begin to feel good about themselves in the same way they did in Athens, which shocked us. Maybe they shock us tonight, and then maybe I'll believe more is possible. But right now, their ABs show me that they're lacking confidence.
They certainly are. I just wonder how this is managed tonight. Do you just stay the course because it's what got you here, and this is kind of a ragtag bunch anyway, or do you try and push some buttons?
So think about that question, right? Because before they went out to play in the College World Series, everybody mentioned, at the very least, if they didn't think it aloud, that we should switch up the pitching order, that Van Eck should get the start instead of Parrish. And they said, no way, no how. We're going with Parrish. It's a matchup for us. We like the matchup.
Yeah, the matchup was part of that, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's a huge part of it. But they said, we're not going to do it. And even with the knowledge that Arkansas hit a lot of lefties at the top of their order, even into the middle of their order with a switch hitter, I still think people wanted to go with Van Eck. They still said, I don't care. I'd rather go with the more dominant pitcher who's had the better stuff in the second half of the season. And they stuck to their guns and said, no, we're going to ride and die with what we are, how we got here. We didn't think we'd be here necessarily. They didn't say that, but certainly I can't imagine they believed they would be here in the middle of this season. And it worked out. Drew was dominant. got big strikeout after big strikeout in crucial situations, and Van Eck was actually the more inadequate pitcher of the two, and they stuck by their guns, and I think they'll stick by their guns again. I don't think they'll move Matthew up. To answer that's a long-winded way of answering your question, but I don't think they will.
Well, yeah, I just mean also, too, do you push any buttons in terms of motivation before the game? I mean, we see the I don't want to go home speech from Martin years and years ago, but he said throughout this ride that, he never stopped and smelled roses. He was talking to Scott Van Pelt about this before we played our first game, that he was looking for his white whale. He was hunting for it so much that he forgot to enjoy the moments as they came. If that's the guy you got tonight, the manager on the bench, then I think that only reinforces what's gotten us to this point, which is the devil may care underdog mentality. We haven't faced elimination in this postseason tournament until now, but at the same time, we've been quite comfortable, thank you, wearing the hat of the underdog, and maybe we didn't on Monday. I don't know. It's only a 9-inning game
because they're the same team. Maybe we didn't. I don't know. I don't know that our attitude cost us. I think our approach did. At the plate, I think a good pitcher dominated us, and good pitchers who are also getting a foot outside are real tough to beat.
Yeah,
and that didn't surprise me that we didn't hit. They didn't hit either, really.
No.
So they didn't hit
both
either.
games are the same thing.
Yeah, so
I think the best performance turned in of those two baseball games is Arkansas, and they just had a lot of loud outs.
Yeah, and then when they had to hit, they couldn't at all. They needed to make contact, and they couldn't.
They also ran themselves out of 2 innings.
Yeah, it's funny. The Martin that was at Alex Box did enjoy the moment. He started to really let that sink in. I thought his reaction, the incredulous look on his face when they won, was something that we've all longed to see. In the past, we've probably accused him of caring too much and having that convey a sense of dread to the players. This was a guy who I think really the entirety of this postseason we've all accurately described as relaxed as he's ever been.
Well, and I think it's just such a unique circumstance, too, because you're technically the home team for that game in Alex Box, so you can walk off a win. I mean, it's different to walk off a win, the exhilaration, than striking somebody out. There's an expectation that comes with closing out a game with a lead, whereas a walk-off is kind of this chaotic moment. And it's just so, bizarre that maybe 20, 30 years from now, people look at the photos. Why are we storming the field like that? Well, we were batting in the bottom half. So he got to experience that rush. It's a completely different feeling to walk off on somebody else in somebody else's ballpark. It's just as kind of like how his career is very unique. That's a unique way to send you somebody to Omaha.
I will say this, and, I've kind of thought about this off and on today, trying to get a feel for the game. If they win tonight, you're right. Okay, they could get there. They're going to be able to throw their top two. I don't think Michigan's great, just like we're not great. So this isn't some sort of overwhelming deal.
Right.
Getting through tonight,
we'd get Henry again on Saturday if we got that far, and that's where have you made an adjustment?
Well, you would.
Can
right?
you hit something that's
down
the middle?
He's not going to pitch that well again. He's not. He 3-hit us. He ain't going to do that again. I'll bet on it.
Okay, well, let's get to that point.
I'm going to take the over on 3 hits. He won't do that again. He might pitch well. We could lose, but he won't pitch like that again. And I have a feeling that, Van Eck would pitch better than he pitched. He labored. He could not locate his fastball. And he's been a guy that works off of that pitch and really can get it up there at 96, 97. He wasn't hitting that on the gun.
No, it was a shame.
like our chances.
It was a shame because his breaking stuff was as good as it's been. I mean, it was diving into the dirt.
By the way, Louisville defeated Auburn 5-3. So Louisville moves on, and Auburn, peace, you're out of there. Somebody will be out of there tonight, obviously, and I hope it's not us. I go in really loose. I'm not playing the game, so it doesn't matter, but I think that we should all kind of have a moment of appreciation for a team that we did not expect to be playing in the College World Series in late June.
Yeah.
We've been given kind of a fairy tale ride, and I'm okay with that. I've got a little bit of gratitude towards what we're doing right now.
And unless there's a pitcher's duel that happens as it just started a couple minutes ago, I think that's the Vandy, Mississippi State game, right?
I believe it's postponed right now.
Is it really?
Again, I think they're having more weather issues.
Uh-oh.
Well, we're doing a live radio show, so I'm not looking at the TV, but we'll check.
Well, that 7 o'clock start looks precarious for Florida State. It may be a late night.
Yeah. Well,
it's the same ballpark. They can't do anything about that.
No, and I know this. It was interesting to talk to the people out there. We talk about not hitting, and hitting being really something that everybody's been challenged with out at that ballpark. It's cavernous, but the weather hasn't been real conducive to the ball carrying either. So in a way, I thought going into the Arkansas game that helped us, that their bats were, somewhat muted. And I feel like tonight that's true too. I know we hit a lot of home runs. People will bring that up and say, well, we got power too. And that gets hurt by the fact that it's a big ballpark. But I don't know. The approach has really been one that they're trying to hit home runs. They need to stop. They need to put the ball in play.
It's like a continuation of playing out at LSU. The only place you could leave the yard was down the line and right, and it's almost like they feel like the only place that they can go in general is down the line and right.
Yeah, go to all fields. Get back to playing the game, man.
They did have a couple of innings where they hit a couple of weak fly balls to left, and it was early in the count. That was the early in the at-bat, and that was the hard part is I think – did that kid have 4 single-digit innings of pitches?
Yeah, that'll hurt your feelings.
It's kind of against the trend of us.
That's
we're trying to ambush them.
Game, yeah. No, and they ambushed us. That's how the Van Eck home run happened. I mean, remember, they swung the first 2 pitches of the game.
Looks like it started out there on time.
They got it on time.
But still, I mean, even, it's not a lot.
3:20 right now.
They play a real college baseball game that's 5-4 with a lot of pitching changes.
You get a 7:30 start time instead.
Probably.
Perfect. Just after dinner, settle in, watch the Noles win, buddy. Start talking about that big game on Friday against Michigan. You'll feel it then, won't you?
Oh, God, yeah. That's what I want. Just let me feel this week. Come on.
Give me one more charge of adrenaline, a fear that something is actually on the line. I don't feel like that tonight. I don't. I feel like, again, look at this. Hey, what a cute story. And I'm not belittling us. It's just that we weren't any good all year long, so I'm not going to let this pass without feeling some sense of appreciation for the fact that we're in the College World Series playing a game against a team that, most people expected to be there. Many of the other teams all had that expectation, but we weren't one of them.
I'm Gary Busey and Rookie of the Year. I'm looking back at the dugout. Give me one more.
It's Jeff Cameron Show.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Hey, this is Jeff Doxey, representing Premier Fine Homes. I'm proud to announce Premier's newest community, Brookside Village. Brookside has the great schools you want, some larger home sites, and is conveniently located on Ox Bottom Road between Ox Bottom Manor and Moore Pond. Call or text me today at 545-4747 or email me at jeffdoxey1@gmail.com. Remember, before you buy, try me at Brookside.
Hendrick. Find new adventures, find new roads, find a new car buying experience at the all-new Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet. Save big at the Hendrick Summer Sales Event all month. Get a 2019 Chevy Silverado 1500 truck, up to $12,000 off MSRP. That's right, up to $12,000 in savings. Find honest, trusted service right here on Tennessee Street or shop DaleJuniorChevy.com. Not all vehicles will qualify for maximum discount. Must finance with GM Financial plus tax, title, license, dealer installed options, and dealer app insurance. See dealer for details.
Hey, Tallahassee, it's me, the Capitol Building. I know you've cracked some jokes about my awesome tower and perfectly symmetrical domes. It's okay, because from on high, I see a serious problem in this town. Scores of people like yourself, confused, hungry, not knowing what to eat for a delicious downtown breakfast or lunch. Well, have no fear. Just a stone's throw away from my observation deck are the best people in the business. Metro Deli. Breakfast, eat, sandwiches, and wraps, too. Metro Deli is the spot for you. Oh, yeah, Metro Deli. And hey, don't throw stones from my deck. That's not cool. Someone might get hurt.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Wooden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Are you looking for a trucking company you can work with till retirement? If so, join the Early Trucking family that has been trucking for over 25 years. ETC is now hiring regional dry van drivers. Benefits include working with new equipment, a $60,000 average salary, paid time off and sick leave, driving primarily no-touch freight, and running mostly in the Southeast. Plus, a 34-hour restart at home each week. ETC offers a benefit package that's second to none, including 401k, Blue Cross Blue Shield Health, vision and dental insurance, and a $25,000 life insurance policy while employed. Go to earlytruckingcompany.com to fill out an application. Help ETC keep agriculture in motion.
Right now, Ortho's Home Defense Insect Killer is just $4.97 at the Home Depot. Great news for anyone who's not a bug. Home Defense kills them where they live, inside the house, outside the house, and it keeps new ones away for up to 12 months. There will soon be no place for bugs to buzz, creep, crawl, or hide. Today is the day for doing. Make it count with Ortho Home Defense Insect Killer. Now just $4.97 at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Selection varies by store.
Hurry to Macy's Veterans Day sale and get 20 to 65% off furniture, mattresses, and rugs with our lowest prices of the season. Get the Maya 82-inch leather sofa, lowest price $789. Tribeca Queen Storage Bed, lowest price only $489. And a Macy Bed by Serta Basics Foam Firm Mattress, lowest price just $147. Get our lowest prices of the season on furniture, mattresses, and rugs now through November 11th at Macy's. Savings off sale prices, exclusions apply.
Golic and Wingo.
For the Lakers, it becomes interesting because all those guys we mentioned we assumed were max candidates when it comes to what free agency was going to offer them. So who do the Lakers get? Because outside of these two, they have 5 guaranteed contracts on their roster right now and precisely 0 guards.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do here?
I'm going to say they'll find some guards. I don't know if they'll be good guards. They have Kyle Kuzma, they have Anthony Davis, and they have LeBron James.
And others.
Yeah.
And others.
But listen, if they can add Kemba Walker to that with the fact that both Clay and Durant is going to be out, start looking at the other teams in the West and say, okay, on paper anyway, before we get going, where are we listing the Lakers?
It's fascinating, right? Because of the injuries to KD and Clay, you feel like this next year is a free for all.
It's a free year. It's
open invitation. Everybody's got a shot. But let's be honest, with everything that the Lakers gave up, they have to win a championship for this to work, right?
Golic and Wingo, weekdays at 6 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. You're listening to the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Anytime I see this video, and it's been sent to me repeatedly today, I am reminded of how it is our nation's youth turn into idiots when they become adults because they watch the other adults. You've seen the parents brawling at the youth baseball game?
Yeah, I did see that video, yes.
There should be a special sentence for parents who brawl at youth sports, like a mandatory sentence. Instead of a 3 strikes and you're out sort of approach, you get 1. If you brawl at a 7-year-old kid's baseball game, 10 years. 10 years. That's it. You're done. You're doing nothing for society. You're probably ruining that kid who's going to go on to do other things to the rest of us. So, and drag us all down. You got to go. You got to go. 10 years you brawl at a youth baseball game. 10 years. Football, soccer, same thing. Got to go. I marvel. First of all, the volunteer umpires are always under some sort of verbal assault, which amazes me. I mean, do they get a lot of calls wrong? Well, yeah. They're like Jerry, your mechanic, who's volunteering because he likes kids and played youth baseball himself and thinks it's great for the character, and he's right.
Or they're big kids, like as in
Or they're in this case
school.
It was a 13-year-old umpire.
Well, there you go. That's who our umpires were. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a 13-year-old calling balls and strikes. Apt to give leeway to a 7-year-old. Yeah, that's what you got to do. By the way, as somebody who's been to a lot of youth baseball games the last 2 years, because my kids play. You'll be there all night if you don't call strikes. You got to call strikes, even where there are none. You got to call strikes. You can't. They'll walk the world. It's hard to throw strikes when you're 7. It's hard to throw strikes by the definition when you're 7, 8, 9 years old. You know, there are a few kids in every league that can, but very few.
I remember strike 3 being called on me when I was playing 8-year-old Little League, and the catcher had to jump from his crouch, and he couldn't get to the ball. It went to the backstop, and they strike 3. You know? And I went to the dugout, and my dad goes, "Do you know why he did that?" I said, "Yeah, they wanted to get another half inning." And he goes, "Okay."
Yeah, as long as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son is very particular. You got to throw it in a teacup. And I gave him the speech about what a lot of kids who are from the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico or wherever, their parents and youth coaches give them the speech. Nobody walks off the island. You got to hit your way off the island. We're not here for walks. And I'll tell my kid, hey, Bryce, listen, I don't want you to work a walk. This ain't the bigs. We're not doing, your on-base percentage doesn't matter to me right now. I don't want you swinging at balls over your head. I don't want you to swing at balls bouncing. But if it's in the general vicinity of the plate, swing the bat. Whether it's a ball or not, swing the bat. Because umpires are going to always call that a strike anyhow. And really, you're there to learn how to hit right now. Later on, you can change your approach. But I feel for those guys. And you'll hear it. Parents are yelling at, umpires in the leagues that I go to. It blows me away. It doesn't matter. The game, if your 8-year-old wins or loses that baseball game, and I'm as competitive as they come, by the way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference to their future.
Well, then you're not as competitive as they come. Because they come more competitive. They come so competitive that they yell at the umpires.
And then get in fights. And should be sentenced to 10 years in prison if doing so. That's insane.
How many out of every 5 games do you have uncomfortable dialogues?
Oh, not that bad. I don't want to paint a picture where it was every night or anything like that. You'll just hear a comment here and there. The coaches, by and large, are really good at just letting the umpires be the umpires. I mean, they miss more calls at first base or second base on slides and bang plays over there than I'm comfortable with in a given day. But whatever.
But you could do it. That would be their answer. Come on out.
Yeah, why don't you do it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And since I don't want to, I'm glad they're there.
Yeah.
And so I don't say anything because I'm reasonable. Because I get it. It's a bunch of 8-year-olds with volunteer umpires. Go to hell if you're yelling at them. You're an idiot. Any of these guys, but every time I see this brawl, I think, so think about every kid that watched that. And I don't know how you wouldn't have pause. I mean, this is low-hanging fruit. I get it. I don't need to stump for this. Most people get this. But just by chance, you're one of the idiots that doesn't. Take time before you step onto the field to yell at a umpire or an opposing player's father and realize every kid there is watching you. And what are you telling them? It's unbelievable. That mandatory sentences, Tom. 10 years. If you're that dumb, you got to go.
10 years hard time.
10 years for stupidity. Never mind the damage you're doing to your kid. It's Jeff Cameron Show.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
We're back with a state champion. That's right, a state champion head coach. His name is Titus Nixon. He is the basketball coach at St. John Paul II Catholic High School. Coach, how long have you been involved with athletics at JP2?
So I've been involved for 8 years as a coach. I was an assistant, and then 2 years as the girls basketball coach. And then I just completed my 5th year as the boys basketball coach. I also spent my junior and senior years as a student at JP2 in the early years of the school's beginning.
What does it say, though, about the culture of an institution that you graduate from there almost 15 years ago, but here you are still spending your time back at that school?
I think it says a lot. The fact that my wife didn't graduate from JP2, but we both felt drawn back to help in some way. And we weren't even living in Tallahassee, and we always had this thought of, man, it would be so neat if I could go back and help in some way. And when I was named the coach 5 years ago, it was very special, and people thought I was crazy when I said in 5 years we're going to win a state championship. Maybe even I thought I was a little crazy, and it was just so cool to see the program develop over these last 5 years. And we've seen that in many of the sports at JP2. We have so many committed coaches, so many committed teachers that really lay it all on the line day in and day out to try to provide a great atmosphere and a lifelong positive experience for these students in their high school years.
Coach, thanks for your time. For more information about athletics, academics, student life, visit sjpiichs.org for St. John Paul II Catholic High School.
Take me out to the ball game.
Indeed. And with weather like this, it's good to see you out on this magnificent, sizable deck.
It is quite impressive. You can see it all the way from the stadium.
What a deck. What a deck indeed.
I hear that a lot.
You know, I remember, what was it, mid-90s you opened up? Place was so small.
Now it's huge.
All I know is a lot of good times have been spent on this deck. Man, people enjoy it. They laugh, they sing, they drink, they eat, and they celebrate all the goodness of the Gordo's deck.
And you can come have a Gordo Smash.
Delicious. Sitting on the deck with a Gordo Smash. That's a good day at the office.
Or put a Cuban in your mouth.
And other food. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hendrick.
It's the Hendrick Summer Sales Event at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC. Save big on over 200 new Buick and GMC cars, trucks, and SUVs. We are professional grade. DaleJr.BuickGMC.com.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left.
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Kevin Winter, closing in on the NBA draft tomorrow night. There's already been some more movement around the NBA. A Woj bomb this afternoon. Mike Conley's 12-year tenure with the Memphis Grizzlies has come to an end. That pretty much clears the way for Murray State's Ja Morant to be selected number 2 overall tomorrow night, assuming everyone is accurate that Zion Williamson goes number 1 to New Orleans. Here's the deal. Conley has been traded by Memphis to the Utah Jazz, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, for Grayson Allen, Kyle Korver, Jay Crowder. No, we're not done. the 23rd overall pick in tomorrow night's NBA draft, and a future first-round pick. Won't go into details because it gets a little ice cream headache-ish, but bottom line, it's another first-round pick. The Jazz will get Mike Conley. Also means Ricky Rubio's tenure likely done in Utah. He could wind up on another team. The 31-year-old Conley played all 12 seasons of his career in Memphis, finishes the Grizzlies' career leader in points, assists, three-pointers, and also games played. One team that is going to be under the focal point tomorrow night, outside of the top few picks, that will be the Boston Celtics because of what's happening. Kyrie Irving likely out of town. Al Horford now appears on his way out. ESPN Stephen A. Smith, for a team that had everything lined up, now blames Danny Ainge for the mess.
Mr. Danny Ainge, enough's enough. We respect Danny Ainge. We respect the job that he has done. It is undeniable. But it's also time that we highlight what he hasn't been able to do. He was reluctant, highly reluctant to pull a trigger and to get a deal. He had the assets. He could have gotten a big-time player.
But he did not. Coverage of the NBA Draft begins tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Television, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat studio to the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
My own rules for the weekly fantasy golf. I never take Bubba Watson because I hate him, but I took him. Took him this week. He'll perform here. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, and I'm assuming no rough, and it's an easy course?
Well, he's won there at the Travelers before, so that's the reason I took him. He's got to feel good, horses for courses type thing. But I have that rule for a reason. Generally speaking, if I take somebody that I'm not a fan of, they pay me back by playing poorly, which leads to me hating them more. And I take it to an irrational level at that point because they've somehow wronged me, even though I know I should not have taken them to begin with. I'll blame them because it's easier.
It's way easier, yeah.
So, this would be a good week to take Jordan Spieth. He's rounding into form. He's beginning to play very well.
Is he?
Yeah, tee to green he is. Okay. Yeah, he is. He's playing pretty well. No, if you look at his last 3 tournaments, he's kind of rounding into form.
Pretty sorry weekend last week. He seemed to give up a little bit himself.
Well, there were some guys who knew that there weren't real low numbers out there to be had, and I think if you're down 10 strokes going into a Sunday, good luck with that.
It wasn't his fault, though. It was his caddy's fault.
That relationship is an interesting one, man. I suppose they get each other, and it's all right. And certainly the caddy isn't going to leave because he gets paid well to be Jordan Spieth's caddy. But, man, to be on the wrong end of that kind of excuse-making nonsense we see from him every week would really get old.
So think about the last 2 very public examples of interactions between Jordan and his caddy. One was he's
scared of Tiger.
Scared of Tiger. And the other one is he hit 2 perfect shots, and I'm not even anywhere close to the hole.
Yeah, it's the caddy's fault. Yeah.
Michael.
It's the caddy's fault. My favorite part of that is, again, and I said it at the time, I got you, man. If you're 3 feet by, if you're 3 feet long or short, maybe the caddy blew it. Maybe you need to check his yardage. Maybe we should have that discussion. You flew it by 15 yards. It wouldn't have mattered if he told you 160, 165, 155, you threw it 178. What? Get the hell out of here with that nonsense, man. You weren't close. It's not a matter of inches or feet. You were, several yards removed.
I truly hope he has the lead on a Sunday again at a major and blows it again.
You like to see that?
I would love to see that become his reputation.
Yesterday, we talked about Koepka because we didn't get a chance to react on Monday to the the runner-up finish for him. I've been happy to see this week that he's being referred to as legendary. So we ought not hear Brooks Koepka bemoaning the way he's covered really ever again. I mean, I love Brooks, and I root for him. And you know what? It's cool that a Noel is going down in golf lore, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he'll be an all-time great Noel. But, man, look elsewhere for those chips, because that Fox thing that you lamented was, again, stupid. And I also didn't believe you, because I'm tired of him making up stuff about where he's getting slighted, and how it comes to his attention.
He's outsmarting us, though.
It gets old, man. Just stop telling people that, I don't know who sent it to me. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. We know you do. Just stop doing that. I mean, that's if you want to find something to be angry about, like you could get angry at anything, me or anybody. I mean, I know if he heard this now, he'd be angry because he gets angry about anything. But I would say, just say it. Just say, look, I don't like that Brandel Chambly said this. I heard him say this, and I don't like it. Not, somebody sent me this. It was sent to me a bunch of times, and I thought it was interesting. Finally, I took a look at it. No, that's not how that went. And then this thing about the Fox thing. That's not how that went, man. Don't do that.
It could possibly be true if you said I had a lot of tweets at me with this particular link, and then my buddy sent it to me, and so,
If you added that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Anyhow, enough for golf for now.
He's not as stupid as Jordan Spieth is, though. That's what I say. I got you, Brooks.
I don't know that either one of them are stupid, I suppose.
I'm using that as the word, but,
yeah.
Annoying.
Jordan's annoying because he's an excuse maker, and he's kind of...
Nothing has ever been his fault, ever.
Right, he's kind of whiny. It actually makes you like guys that are just overtly difficult. Like, I was going to say another word, but we don't like Bubba because his personality is such that we wouldn't like Bubba.
Correct.
But at least he's just who he is.
he is who he is.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not just whininess. It's just what he is.
Well, wait, no. I mean, who he is whiny, though. His caddy has taken more abuse over the years.
Yeah, he's a jiff. I mean, he's constantly...
And he'll complain about the course. He'll complain about the setup.
I think he's just kind of a crappy dude.
Right.
I think Jordan's probably a good guy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Jordan becomes
something. Do you think Justin Thomas
like.
Is a good guy?
Not really.
They're attached to the hip, those two.
By the way, we didn't talk about it. So my man Ricky Fowler didn't hang around to congrats.
That's right, yeah.
It's the first time in ages that he hasn't been sitting there waiting to hug the winner on the 18th fairway.
And a lot of people did because that guy is like
really
a favorite.
Likable. Yeah, everybody likes him.
Ricky sees his market being cornered. Wait a minute. I should have worn American flags. What am I doing?
Those shoes were awesome.
Yeah.
That was really cool if you're going to wear the U.S. Open.
Ricky is too late to the party. He wears the orange on Sundays,
Yeah.
but Gary Woodland salutes service on Sundays. You're screwed, Ricky.
Yeah.
He's coming for you.
Yeah.
I was clairvoyant
He
last
wins,
week.
by the way.
I must have been having that discussion from here, for this point in time, and I just forgot my place.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to compare those two resumes, and of course, Ricky's is still probably more.
Well, not anymore.
He's got a players, and he's got a bunch of top tens and majors. Well, hang on. Okay, so does one major for Gary Woodland fortify his resume?
But he's also got other wins on tour. Gary's won on tour before. This isn't his first win on tour.
Right, but if you want to say proximity to the lead, if you want to make that a stat, he's not even close to where Ricky's been in terms of consistency. No, Ricky's had the better career. He's been the better player. He's a better player than is
Gary Woodland.
But he's never done anything that impressive.
No, he hasn't yet. But he is he's been the better player, and he is the better player, I think. Now, we'll see where this takes him. Yeah, I think so. Gary's 35. He just now broke through. He's been on the tour a long time. Good for him. If at 35 Ricky still hasn't won, we'll have the conversation. We can compare notes.
Right, but if you were, and here's the age-old argument. So if you're cutting odds for over there for Royal Portrush.
Well, you know what's going to be interesting is, first of all, you're picking Brooks Koepka. So let's just start with that. I'm taking Brooks Koepka.
Whom do you list first between Gary and Ricky? Because Gary's newfound accuracy and scrambling abilities. And the fact that he's making a ton of putts from 30 or 40 feet.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a British Open. They're flat greens.
I don't know that this is I I don't know that this is enough data to say that that's who he is now. That's who he was this week, and good for him.
Somebody Ricky's never been.
Not at a major.
Because he's 6 shots clear of everybody who's mortal. Only Brooks could be within 3 of them.
No, he was great. He played wonderful over 4 days, and Gary Woodland's a real good player, and now he's a U.S. Open champion, and that changes his life. It changes who he is on the tour. It changes everything about his career. Agreed. It doesn't mean that he's suddenly going to be that every week. I think the greater sense of who he is drawn out over the course of his career. That's who he is. This was a good week, and it was a good time to have a good week. I like Gary Woodland, so he's always been one of the better ball strikers. What I didn't know was that he was also one of the longest guys on tour for a very, very long time. He purposely sacrificed distance in an effort to become more accurate. So this has been a choice on his part to change his game. Bravo, sir. There aren't a lot of guys whose ego would let them do that. Coming out of college at Kansas, he hit at 335. He was one of the very longest guys. He was legendarily long, John Holmes-esque. People talked about him in a way that that were in awe. But then he changed his game, and I've always enjoyed his swing. You and I have watched video of that lag and the hip turn, and he's an athlete. He's freakish. But he is more accurate now because he sacrificed distance, and he perhaps will be more consistent.
If you had to choose a career path for Ricky moving forward, would it look more like or most like Phil Mickelson, Sergio Garcia, or Lee Westwood?
I think Ricky's a lot better than Lee Westwood. I would think that Ricky will be more like Sergio Garcia, who's been a Hall of Fame player. It took forever for Sergio to get that major. He finally did, obviously, in dramatic fashion in a playoff over Rose at the Masters. But he had a ton of wins. And he was always a great player in the Ryder Cup, and he showed up big, and he too won at Sawgrass. Sergio's had a great career. So Ricky, to me, probably is a very similar.
So it's not Phil. You don't think he's going to be a 4 or 5-time major winner?
Well, here's what you don't know, and what I think is worthwhile discussing in general, even if you're not a golf fan. You're just a fan of sport and competition and the psychology of it all. I think what's fascinating is what happens to guys once they win, once they get past these barriers of the mind. I don't know, I don't dismiss the idea that Gary Woodland will go on now to win 2 or 3 more majors and maybe more tournaments in general, because he's lifted the burden of never having won a major and being considered one of the handful of players to be the quote-unquote best on tour not to win a major. He was kind of in that category, and he had it even worse because of the 7 times he had a lead on a Sunday after the 54 holes had been played, and he didn't come through. In fact, he didn't even come close. And so that got brought up all the time with him. But to close out at a U.S. Open, the degree of difficulty being what it was with Brooks Koepka charging, he can't have mental hurdles anymore. I can't imagine that he's just not brimming with confidence on Sundays forevermore. Ricky's won in important situations. He's come from behind to win tournaments, so he's shown he has the mettle. If he wins a major, it is hard to say that he won't win 2 or 3 more because he's just got the game. You can't have all those runner-up finishes. He had an entire year's worth of runner-up finishes at majors, and he charged in a couple of those. For me, I respect Ricky's game. I'm like you. It's funny to me that guy, has some hang-ups that we enjoy watching him fail in these majors, but I don't think I'm so naive as to believe that game doesn't travel at some point and win you one. He'll win something.
All I know is that when the final pairing is coming down, 16, 17, and 18, I'll see at least 2 or 3 Ricky Fowler commercials every time. I don't know that he'll ever be actually in that pairing, though.
He'll make his money, though. He's made his money.
Yes. It's like Chris Paul and Aaron Rodgers. It's like,
Yeah, I don't want to do the Stu Gotts thing because he's all over Chris Paul all the time. Chris Paul was one of the best guards, if not the best guard in basketball for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's a little unfair.
They finally had enough of each other. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Either he goes or I go. That's the word out of Houston. Well, never could have seen that coming.
I got news for you, Chris. It ain't gonna be him.
Word was they didn't like each other before they even
teamed
up in Houston. I thought the scuttlebutt around the NBA was when Chris Paul was with the Clippers that they couldn't stand each other. Next thing you know, they're in commercials together for Madden first, and then they got the deal with State Farm.
you can't stand in the way of opportunity to make money, man, of commerce. You've got, you could hate somebody. You're offered $1 million or more to do a commercial with them. You'll find a way to work it out for the day, obviously, and even pretend that you really, really enjoy each other's company. That Houston team, they can blow that up. I'd be happy with that. I don't need to see that.
You would be.
Oh, I'm not.
Breaking news.
I'm not a big fan of the way they play.
This also win. Coach K has passed Bob Knight
as
the winningest coach in men's basketball history.
Yep, not a big fan of the way they play. Although the irony here is, since we're on the subject of the upcoming draft and the summer of free agency and who goes where and the shake-up team to team with injury and all that good stuff, is that if you're Houston, now would be the time to keep it together, because Golden State is a mystery, what they're going to look like next year. And you got guys who, even if they were to, say, resign, aren't going to be on the court for either the whole season or a good chunk of it. So it's wide open. And you came relatively close 2 years in a row to pulling off the win. Now's not when you break it up.
Also, some good news for the NBA draft. It'll be on our airwaves tomorrow night. That's not the good news. Fiondu Kabengele has been invited to the draft green room itself tomorrow, so he will be there. Should he have accepted, I would think he would have, with his family, close friends, and it's a great moment for FSU basketball that he shall take the stage when his name is called.
Yeah, and that's a kid that is easy to root for. We talked about him yesterday, what he brings to a team, what I think he's going to be in the league, what scouts think he's going to be, more importantly, in the league. He's a kid who's, trending upwards because of work ethic and intelligence and body type. The skill set is interesting, especially if he continues to shoot the basketball from the perimeter well. The modern-day big man can do both in a lot of places, and it's kind of requisite of anybody coming out these days.
Well, it's not just draft nerds saying that he's climbed the ranks. If the NBA is going to give you an invite, when they televise night one of the draft – and there's only one night, I should say, but they're going to let you walk the stage. They don't think it's because you're pick 55.
Yeah, it's interesting. When we were debating during the course of the season, he had a couple of moments where he really shined in big moments and high-profile games, and we came in here and I said, man, look out. I'm getting a little nervous. He's playing too well. He's going to leave us. But we thought it was borderline. The closer we get to this draft, the more we realize it wasn't borderline. It's just that people needed to get a better look at him. And once they did, it was fairly obvious and a consensus that he'd go in the first round.
Well, I'd argue that I think we had this one right early because we said, first round, maybe, but lottery. Do you come back to be a lottery pick?
Right.
And I don't think he's going to be a lottery pick.
No, he's not. And I don't know that coming back one more year would have made him a lottery pick either. So I think he's made the right decision, unfortunately. Because next year he would have been doubled. Because with what our team is, he would have been the guy. And people know who he is now, so he wouldn't have been able to put up better numbers, per se. Hour number 2, fourth company. Stay with.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
At an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
The Jeff Cameron Show podcast, available on demand at ESPNTallahassee.com and on iTunes today. The Jeff Cameron Show podcast is brought to you by Garnet and Gold of Tallahassee. When you buy FSU apparel, support local business. GarnetandGold.com.
Hendrick,
We're celebrating the Hendrick Summer Sales Event all month long at the all-new Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet. Shop over 300 new Chevrolet cars, trucks, and SUVs right here on Tennessee Street, or find new roads at DaleJuniorChevy.com.
This is Lisa Brady. 17 years ago, I opened Lisa's Paint and Body to provide Tallahassee with an honest repair shop. Thanks to you, our customers, we have outgrown our current location and soon will be moving. Our new location is twice the size, easier access, state-of-the-art equipment, and the newest technology.
ASE and ICAR certified technicians. Personalized attention, guaranteed results. 2820 Mahan Drive. Call 385-2665. Lisa's Paint and Body Shop. MV46050.
What are Bojangles Chicken Supremes? They're bold, craveable chicken tenders. Here's what our customers have to say about them.
You can't beat Bojangles Chicken Supremes.
Oh, I have to have Supremes every week.
I like that they have some kick.
It's this perfect explosion of flavors.
You can't find this anywhere else. It's out of this world.
Try our 3-piece Chicken Supremes dinner with a fixin' and a biscuit for $4.99 and get a free iced tea. Bojangles. It's bow time.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test. Barry knows heating and air conditioning, keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
Deciding whether or not to fix something that has worked well for a long time can be a tough choice. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, we'll help you decide on whether to repair your existing system or consider new energy-efficient options. Book your repair or service appointment online in under a minute at baranoac.com.
Now you can quickly and easily schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. This summer, turn to the experts at Carrier. Learn more about great rebates and 0% financing for up to 60 months online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Kevin Winter, closing in on the NBA draft tomorrow night. There's already been some more movement around the NBA. A Woj bomb this afternoon. Mike Conley's 12-year tenure with the Memphis Grizzlies has come to an end. That pretty much clears the way for Murray State's Ja Morant to be selected number 2 overall tomorrow night, assuming everyone is accurate that Zion Williamson goes number 1 to New Orleans. Here's the deal. Conley has been traded by Memphis to the Utah Jazz, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, for Grayson Allen, Kyle Korver, Jay Crowder. No, we're not done. The 23rd overall pick in tomorrow night's NBA draft and a future first-round pick. Won't go into details because it gets a little ice cream headache-ish, but bottom line, it's another first-round pick. The Jazz will get Mike Conley. Also means Ricky Rubio's tenure likely done in Utah. He could wind up on another team. The 31-year-old Conley played all 12 seasons of his career in Memphis, finishes the Grizzlies' career leader in points, assists, three-pointers, and also games played. One team that is going to be under the focal point tomorrow night, outside of the top few picks, that will be the Boston Celtics because of what's happening. Kyrie Irving, likely out of town. Al Horford now appears on his way out. ESPN Stephen A. Smith, bro, a team that had everything lined up now blames Danny Ainge for the mess.
Mr. Danny Ainge, enough's enough. We respect Danny Ainge. We respect the job that he has done. It is undeniable. But it's also time that we highlight what he hasn't been able to do. He was reluctant, highly reluctant to pull the trigger and to get a deal. He had the assets. He could have gotten a big-time player.
But he did not. Coverage of the NBA draft begins tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Television, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
At ESPN Radio, some of you caught it. And if you know what I'm referencing, then you're laughing. If you didn't, then there's no need to inform you. I had to inform you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I guess I'm delightfully ignorant to that one.
I came back into the studio just now with a number of texts going, did I hear that? Did you get that? Did you sneak that in
That
there?
was delivered so dryly that I thought you were referencing maybe a guy
different
from
player.
the 30s.
Yeah, you're like, I got to look him up.
Like your Brandel Chamblee. Well, I mean, he was considered to be the longest player on the PGA Tour in decades. And people would they'd show up and marvel about two things. I mean, they love Ben Hogan's swing, and then they loved what this guy could hit long drives.
Speaking of which, did you watch that? Any of that documentary?
I watched the first half of it, yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's
the second half is really good too.
It's fascinating. It's like a pro Ben Hogan thing, but it's still littered with information. I really know nothing about the man.
So the second part was last night, and I saw it, and I would just say that they don't engage entirely in heroification. You end up with several stories towards the end of players relaying how difficult a person he was, but also that he was legendarily great, obviously, and wrote the book on how to swing a golf club. But it's cool because towards the end, I'm not giving anything away here necessarily, some players and instructors included come on and say, well, in truth, Ben Hogan had a swing that taught you how not to hit a slice. So, that it wasn't that it was the perfect golf swing. It was that if you didn't want to hit a slice, then you need to swing it like him.
Right, if you're trying to fix a slice.
Right.
Yeah.
It was his swing.
See this diagram here.
Right. That's what he was able to do. Not if you're a modern player that likes to hit a cut fade.
Right.
They would tell you not to.
I found it interesting that just in terms of earning money as a kid back in his time, so he was basically a newsie at the train station growing up. He and his brother were.
Mm-hmm.
And he found out, and they would work from the first thing in the morning till the end of the day with a stack of newspapers and just try to get travelers. But instead he found out that you could make 65 cents a round at the local golf course. But the golf course was 6 miles away. And so he had to walk the 6 miles first thing in the morning to get a crack at having the first tee time to maximize the amount of money he was making. It was a 9-hole course. But then at times he would sleep in the bunkers with some of the newspapers as blankets. And, so he could be there and be ready to go first thing in the morning.
I'm still blown away when you saw the preview. It's emotional. It evokes emotion when you watch him say, I've known hard times all my life. When he says it like that, you're like, Jesus. It shaped and cut who he was. It became, and he's not wrong. His dad shot himself in the chest. That's a toughie. And he ended up being there when that happened. So can you imagine? Oof.
Yes, it was a custody strife, and that's what took him to that point. Was his dad visited his mom the next town over, and that set the stage when he was told no.
Can you? Yeah, no. So it's worth your while to watch it. It's the footage. At the end, they have footage of him at the end of his life into the 90s. So I didn't realize he lived as long as he did, meaning the decade of, and that he. There's footage of him hitting golf balls on a beach. It's the last known footage of him. A friend went on vacation with him, and he was hitting golf balls at an advanced age into the ocean, and. Despite being as old as he was, he still had a fluid, beautiful swing. And the friend said, do you mind if I film this? And he said, it's okay. Go ahead. And he did. And it's the last known footage of him swinging a club. Wow. And when you watch it, you go, that still plays. Like, he could have gone out and shot a good round of golf. It was still in him. Can you imagine you're an old guy playing somewhere? And he was said to have just wandered onto courses, and his home course in particular in Texas, where he would go and just play. He would show up. He had it like that. He's been freaking Hogan. And they all knew who he was. And so he wouldn't call for tee times. He'd just show up. And they'd be like, Mr. Hogan, please go ahead. But occasionally, towards the end of his life, he played less and less and less. But he would just randomly show up in the evenings when there were few people on the course, and he would just join in. Imagine that. Mm-hmm. Imagine you're out there playing, and Ben Hogan walks up and says, you mind if I play with? Oh, by all means.
My course growing up, and I pretty much played the same one over the summers from age 5 through 18. And it's called Landsbrook in Palm Harbor. It's nondescript, but it's a good, decent public course. It's somewhere in between. It's like a hybrid between a muni and then a country club. So they had some old-time teachers and stuff, but there were two guys. One served in World War II in the Pacific, and the other, both were named Frank. One was Frank and one was Frankie. And Frank was a cigarette guy, just like Ben Hogan. He'd be on the range. He'd take a big drag, hit a ball, pick up his cigarette, take a big drag, hit a ball. He'd do it for hours. He was my coach's coach, and eventually I got to meet him, and it was like a very big deal.
Yeah,
you
get to meet Frank.
And then Frankie used to just sit. He was a big Dodgers fan, and he'd sit there and talk golf and sports with you all day long. But they were lifers. I mean, just guys who dedicated their life to the game in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you got the wisdom, or they came out in the course and they went with you and played with you, or they joined up.
You had to eat it up.
Or they watched.
Mm-hmm.
The pressure. And they weren't even Ben Hogan, but I couldn't imagine what it would be like if Ben Hogan was that guy.
Well, and, I mean, there was a spiritual side to all this. And I think that when you listen to people in any sport who have dedicated themselves to the inner workings of how something is, right? How to do something right. It's throw a football, it's catch a football, it's shoot a basketball, it's hit a golf ball, it's swinging a baseball bat, whatever it might be. You're around a Ted Williams who saw the science as well as sort of the metaphysical, right? This idea of harmony. And Ben Hogan talked about that. Like there was nothing more magical in this world than becoming one with the game of golf and incorporating yourself in this world that he could talk about in beautiful language. And it would be so fun to I like that now. That's true of writers, filmmakers, musicians, anybody that is a craftsman and does something and goes above and beyond surface level. I love to listen to people like that talk because they've spent their lives dedicated to it. They've that's the idea of building craft and doing something to where you become one.
Well, what he told me, and he had a choice language that I could never use. Old man Frank with a cigarette, as you might imagine, because he had the gravelly voice.
Well, he
and the
better.
whole thing.
He better. He's got to have that.
He said, "I'm not a no anymore," and and he says, "I can't do this. I can't do that." And you're like, "Wow, okay, well, but here's what I can do." He says, "Our command, the driving range we had a shelf at about 40 yards and would drop off, and then he'd get into the main area with the flags and stuff." He says, "I can hit it to the edge of this ridge every single time, because if you can control a half wedge, a 40-yard shot, you can control a lot of shots, and you'll learn a lot about the way you hit the golf ball." And so we used to go at it for an hour.
Just to see if you could hit that shot.
And you had to get it really close, and they'd finally go, "That's a good one. Here's one that's better." It would never, you'd never win.
You never win.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. All right, so speaking of sport, which is what we do 3 hours a day, every day, sometimes we go down a different path, but I was in awe at how frequently Florida State football came up today on these airwaves, as well as write-ups and the like, and I'm wondering, I asked this aloud, do we see a different set of football players than everybody else sees? And here's why I asked the question. There seems to be a sense of Florida State football not only falling off because, for example, on Twitter, a perfect example, I got this earlier today, forwarded to me. Fan of the show noted that Larry Williams had a tweet in which he for Tiger Illustrated, I think it is, or Rivals, I can't remember which one, the website he works for, but on October 24th, 2015, Florida State carried a 28-game ACC winning streak to Georgia Tech. Since, the Seminoles are 13-15 in conference games. And then he goes on to say, incredible, da-da-da. And I hadn't thought about it very much other than to note that we're sub 500. Sub 500 in ACC play post October 24th, 2015 on. And the more you read, the more you think that people don't just believe that, Willie Taggart coached poorly last year, Jimbo Fisher the year previous had given up on the program, and really you could argue go back a couple of years before that, because when you stop recruiting, you've given up on the program, and he had basically stopped recruiting offensive linemen for some time post-2015. That Florida State isn't very talented, that there are more than a handful of teams in the ACC that might have more talent than Florida State seems to be a prevailing wisdom, and I think that's false. I think Florida State is talented. I think Florida State can't block. And so we're diagnosing the problem differently here. I think that when your offensive line is not only bad, but the worst in all of the Power 5 conferences and one of the worst in the country, everything else is rendered moot. it doesn't really matter. It's hard to tell. It's with any degree of certainty anyhow. Now, the draft does tell you something because players usually are found out. But I think there are plenty of players on this team that will get drafted. If you look at the skill positions, whether you're talking about running back, wide receiver, cornerback, safety, Florida State has players that will get drafted. They have NFL players at those positions.
Yeah, interior of the defensive line as well. Marvin Wilson's going to get drafted.
Of course.
For me, I think what I've heard a lot of is an acceptance that Florida State is in the same class with Syracuse, NC State, and Boston College in the Atlantic, that they're not Clemson, and that it's anybody's fight for second place in the Atlantic. And I think that's true, though. Now, they may arrive to that point in a different way than we do, but until further notice, that's exactly who we are because that's who we've been.
Yeah, going on 4 years, that's who we've been.
Right.
I don't disagree that you can say that with a straight face and be frustrated by that. I just take issue that we're there with the idea being that we recruit a bunch of two-stars that can't play, that we're on the same level recruiting-wise because that's what you're telling me when you say you don't have good players, that basically we're on the same level of a Syracuse and others in recruiting, and that's simply not true. Florida State has recruited better players.
Yeah, we have. I think linebacker can obviously help a lot and edge rusher this year for the defense, but we have skill everywhere else, and it sounds like it doesn't sound like it looked like to our eyes last year that we just overestimated what the defensive backcourt could be. We thought they were going to be way better. And one injury to a kid, in the second game of the year shouldn't change whether or not, we're that much better or that much worse in the defensive backcourt. Hamza didn't play as well.
He can't cover.
Woodby played star, so you didn't get to see a whole lot of DB skills from him. Westbrook appears to be a guy that we tabbed as a quitter because he was benched for a large portion of the time after the Clemson game. Bolden being hurt, it shouldn't undo all of that. But maybe we have a little bit more of an answer this year. It's just, I don't know. It reminds me of some of those Miami teams in their lost decade plus, where it's like, yeah, they'll always have 3 or 4 guys that you have to pay real attention to. But the substance of the team, do they have the substance to get it done? And I feel like that's where we are right now.
The substance of the team is lacking, but I think all of this is made right with a little bit of confidence. And where does confidence come from? Winning football games. How do you win football games? Well, you have to be able to win the line of scrimmage. And Florida State can't win the line of scrimmage. And when you can't do that, you really can't achieve much. So I feel it's a chicken or the egg argument. I don't think they're lacking talent at the skill positions. We have not had an elite quarterback since Jameis left. That is obvious. The drop-off from Jameis was going to always be significant because he was arguably one of the 5 to 10 greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen play the college game in terms of pro-style quarterback and the way he thought the game. And obviously physically he was gifted as well. That's how you go number 1 in the draft. You're really good. So we were always going to see a decline in play there, but the significant decline has been something that I did not expect. Jimbo whiffed at that position terribly. The guys he did recruit that were well thought of in terms of stars did not pan out. They either got in trouble off the field and were forced to go elsewhere, or they had problems, demons in their own life that required them to maybe give up football at Florida State and go somewhere else. Lots of things happen, and then the ones who did make it onto the field simply weren't good enough by our standard. DeAndre Francois ought not start at a place like Florida State, in my opinion. But that's where we were left. And James Blackman, who I think is a real good leader, is still not up to the standard, I think, of a Florida State quarterback. The way you recruit here should be more along the lines of what we're seeing currently at Clemson. That ought to be the kind of thing we shoot for. We're Florida State. This isn't a place where you get average quarterbacks that you hope have a good year. It's a place where you get elite quarterbacks that you hope play to that standard and give you a chance to win national championships. And, until that happens, we're going to continue to trail Clemson. But it really begins, to me, with the offensive line. If you block it up and give us any time, obviously what you've talked about and what we've all seen statistically speaking is that Kendall Briles has success. They score points when he is the offensive coordinator, no matter where he goes. So can we keep our quarterback upright and give him an opportunity to run an offense that we know averages over 30 points a game historically? That's what he's done.
Yeah, for me, it's can you block it up a little bit this year? And if you can at least do that once in a while, that it's not a complete disaster, and you call the game around it, and you're smart about the way you call the game, then the next task is about defining the fact and fleshing it out once again that we are not BC, we are not Wake, we are not Syracuse. But these are the baby steps that we have to take, and it's frustrating.
Oh, infinitely so.
The crawling has begun, man, and maybe we can get up to our feet this year and start walking after that, but we ain't sprinting anytime soon.
I'm just reminded, when you go through this, it certainly helps to have the ability to reflect and look back at various stages of football progress in Florida State's lore. And also to have had a good look around in your own conference or amongst your own rivals to know that when teams are down, the way that Florida was down during the 2 4-win seasons, which are fairly recent, the way Miami's been for 20 years, and the way we currently are, it can sometimes feel like everything's wrong. But usually it's not. And that's borne out when a good coach comes in and fixes or is able to turn the corner in some areas and they immediately win 9-10 games. See Bob Stoops at Oklahoma, how quickly he took over a program, a legendary program, that had been mired in futility in a way you never suspected Oklahoma could, and how quickly that turned to them winning a national championship, sadly over us. Florida won 10 games a year ago. They have been bad for a long time. They were also a dominant program under Urban Meyer, and we didn't see that downturn to be as dramatic as it was and as quickly as it was. We were bad at the end of Bobby Bowden's turn. How quickly Jimbo Fisher turned this into a juggernaut to the best program in college football for a 2-year span. Dabo Swinney's done it at Clemson, and just a few short years ago, I'd say 4 years ago, we really would not have said this was on the verge of happening. You look at Clemson now, and you see a dynastic group. You see a group that looks like they're light years ahead of Florida State. Maybe it feels that way for good reason because they have an NFL quarterback, and they're recruiting now at a pace that is awe-inspiring. But I know that the game changes quickly in college football.
It can, yeah, but for them, I think the daunting task here is they found stars. They found, you got to get lucky a little bit, but they found Deshaun, and they had some guys, the defensive line, that changed everything about who they were. A couple of glue guys mixed in, like a Hunter Renfrow or a Leggett or a Boulware at linebacker, and they had the right mix of all those guys and made it work. But now they're recruiting like Alabama, Ohio State did a long time ago.
Very, very problematic.
Like Georgia is recruiting, and that.
Well, that's
if
why
you're talking about likelihood of a collapse, I just don't see that because they're only getting better in the kids that are coming in, and they're a development program in the first place. Usually, it's that you've always been a big time recruiter, but then you lack development. Like they've always done it the right way, the organic way.
The frustrating aspect, and you're getting to something now that I think is vital, and that is Florida State's getting good enough players, prospects, if you will, in recruiting. They aren't doing a great job of developing them. We haven't seen our program develop players the way that Clemson develops players currently, and that's got to change. That's got to change right now because you have good enough players not to go 5-7, but you got to develop the ones you have. And some of those linemen that are going to be asked to and called upon to improve up front that I keep stressing have got to get bigger and stronger and better fundamentally, and all that has to happen. And I hope, obviously, with a new offensive line coach, we begin to see that. It wasn't just that we weren't recruiting good offensive linemen. We weren't developing them either. We weren't watching guys get better in due time. I mean, that seemed to cease dramatically. And I think that's true at several positions, frankly.
Well, I think the number one guy that you can circle and say, okay, now here's the difference of development in the offensive line would be Bavion. How the bleep can that guy not get on the field? And if he does, especially that question will be asked, if he does right away this season and he's your center, you're going to go, what in the...
Well, I think he's going to be.
What did it take?
Yeah, no, I think he's going to be. Yeah, why weren't we doing that before? Why weren't we seeing that before? Well, he could snap the ball, right? And your argument would be, well, teach him. How hard can it be?
How can he magically snap it now?
I know. Yeah. Well, listen.
I hope I'm angry about that because that means we've got good center play, and I've had nightmares every summer.
Basically, post-Stork, we haven't had good center play.
You could set a watch by it.
Yeah, you can. And my guess is that he does play and does start and is pretty good. And that's one area where the interior of the offensive line figures to be better. We worry significantly, and I think rightfully again, at tackle, where we raise an eyebrow about what we have or don't have. I think we'll be better. Where we will be better is a better way of saying that, is in the interior of the offensive line. I don't think we'll be a good offensive line, but we'll be better in the interior.
But if you can get guard to guard, and then you've got some sort of H-back
back there,
run
the ball
somebody
on
lead
first down occasionally.
It's second and 8 and second and 7 every once in a while.
Yeah.
And then maybe you get somebody to the line of scrimmage without harm. Remember the Dalvin Cook numbers about if he ever got to the line of scrimmage
untouched. He was deadly. He averaged 11 yards per carry once he got to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, God forbid that guy ran behind the line in 2013. You know, I mean, he would have gotten a fair fighting chance. He hardly ever did in his career, and he still put up program best numbers. But allow Cam Akers and LeBourne to get to the line of scrimmage and then decide what to do after that.
Big year for Cam Akers. It's a big year for a lot of guys. That's the thing.
You're saying important, not statistically necessarily.
No. Yeah,
right?
it's an important year
yeah.
for him to prove what he is or is not. We know what's in there because we've seen it. We also know what he's capable of when things aren't going well. Both on and off the field, he struggled last year. And so now, he says that's in the rear view and we should get a better version, just like we should be a little bit better up front than we were a year ago. Don't know how we couldn't be. And so between that and what I think is a more structured and easily digestible offense for the kids to understand, we should be better.
To your overriding point about game one that you've said here and on headlines and how important game one is.
Huge.
When you have that many different voices, like if you're Cam, right, and you came here, you committed to Jimbo, and then you got Willie and Bell talking to you last year, and now you got Kendall talking to you this year, and you don't get reinforcement, the good kind.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Oh, I believe it. I don't blame him necessarily. There are some things I didn't like dating back to the ACC meetings last year. There were things he said that I was like, I'm just curious. Especially when we found out he wasn't necessarily able or willing to back up the boastful remarks that he made with hard work behind the scenes. That's not good. So he needs to have a very good year, and I think obviously we know the talent is there.
Well, if LeBourne is healthy, then he'll be pushed.
LeBourne's a special talent.
Because he'll take the reps away.
Get him in space, man.
Yeah.
This is a fun start to the hour. We're getting into nitty-gritty football talk.
From Ben Hogan and life lessons on the driving range
to... but on a Balls McWednesday, a night in which maybe I'm just trying to distract you from the College World Series. Just, don't be nervous, guys. Enjoy the ride.
You did. I've forgotten it was tonight. Thanks.
Until just now. Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Causing wood decay, interior damage, or mold growth within your home or business. We specialize in storm damages and insurance claims. Let us get your roof back to shedding water, not leaking water. Call us today. We can help. At T-Spark Enterprises, we conquer all peaks.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Hi, Chris Kraft for the all-new Infiniti of Tallahassee, the newest Kraft Brothers dealership. As we get ready to break ground on the new Kraft Infiniti store, Peter and I thought, why not have a founding 50 with lots of cool stuff for 50 special buyers? And when we say special benefits, we mean it. Here's just some of what you'll get. Free lifetime oil changes, free lifetime powertrain warranty, and free gas fill-up with factory-scheduled maintenance. I told you this was special, and there's more. Free car wash and loaner cars, a gold license plate frame, and a commemorative brick at our new store. Plus, my favorite, the white glove treatment with front-of-the-line service priority. It's Tallahassee's first truly VIP car buying and servicing experience. So if you're in the market for a luxury vehicle, you need to look at Infiniti of Tallahassee. Seriously, no haggle pricing, and every time you come in for factory-scheduled maintenance, we change your oil for free, wash your car, and even fill it up with gas. It's Infiniti of Tallahassee's founding 50, so prepare to be pampered. Infiniti of Tallahassee, 3355 Capitol Circle Northeast, next to Ted's Montana Grill.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
And we're back with another edition of Spring Cleaning. Today, we want to know how you save energy, water, and money during the warmer season. Caller, you're on the air. What do you do to save energy?
With the warmer temperature, I know my AC is working overtime, so I make sure to replace my AC filter once a month.
Excellent suggestion. Next caller, you're on the air.
Well, the City of Tallahassee recommends that I take advantage of their grants and loans to get more insulation in my attic. That's really going to keep my cooling costs down.
These are some great suggestions. There are lots of ways to save. Caller, you're on the air.
I reduce energy for water heating by lowering my water heater temperature and installing low-flow shower heads.
We have time for one more caller. What do you have for us?
I make sure to use my programmable thermostat to regulate the temperature in my home when I'm away.
Thank you, caller. That's all the time we have today.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities would like to help you save as much energy as you can and save money while you're at it. Visit talgov.com for more information and start saving energy today.
We know with the right combination of sunny days, picnics, and trips to the lake, some summers can last a lifetime. We know the great outdoors. We love the great outdoors. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, where you can save big during our Star-Spangled Summer Sale. Like select men's Henley shirts and logo t-shirts for under $10 each, and a Coleman 48-quart cooler for under $20. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here.
Hendrick.
It's the Hendrick Summer Sales Event at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC. Save big on over 200 new Buick and GMC cars, trucks, and SUVs. We are professional grade. Dale Jr. Buick GMC.com.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's more exciting when Jay Cameron Show and @_Tom Lang start getting to the details of college football. Can it just hurry up and get here? Thanks for listening, Blake. It also gets more depressing every time we do that, unfortunately.
But we didn't have to say Marvin Wilson that whole talk.
No, it was a measured discussion of what Florida State is not. And it's a toughie.
Yeah, but you were willing to take the other side, and not for kicks and giggles, because you wanted to let people know what Florida State is. A lot of people are assuming that we're worse off than we are.
They are, and it's been a topic today, and it's interesting because I don't know what kickstarted it. I don't know if it's our appearance out in Omaha that has people thinking about Florida State on the big stage and a bigger picture and beginning to ask the question again, what in the hell happened there to their football program? They're winning and everything else, but they can't win a damn thing on the football field. What's going on? And then that kickstarts the conversation into, well, they're not doing this or they're not doing that. And everybody's got an opinion on that, and that's great. It's what makes college football discussion great. It's also what makes it possible in the dead of summer. But I think that one can be easily led astray into believing that there is a dearth of talent here by way of comparison to other programs around the country. And I would say that while they're not nearly as talented as Clemson or Alabama or Georgia and maybe a handful of other teams, they are not lacking talent. Florida State is not lacking good football players. They've got a lot of them. They haven't been coached real well in a number of years. They haven't been developed, and they certainly haven't been blocked for. And that's the biggest part of what we're talking about. To me, that's everything. I think that, again, the discussion about what a player is or is not from a skill position standpoint really is rendered moot because we can't block. And so you don't get a chance for guys who do have, I think, requisite skill to showcase the talent on a regular basis, on a week-to-week basis, where they amass numbers that turn heads and draw attention to what Florida State possesses at wide receiver, at running back, maybe certainly at defensive back. Listen, we couldn't, in the second half of the season, we did a very good job of stopping the run. Teams basically got to that second tier pretty quickly, and our linebackers are garbage. We are lacking talent at linebacker. There is no doubt. I said that a year ago. I said it 2 years ago. I mean, we just aren't very talented at the position.
But you would end date that at the end of last season, right? Like
I hope.
They've got a
we'll
chance
see.
this year.
They got a chance to be better. There's some guys that I have high hope for. They haven't done it in a game yet necessarily. So
Jaleel looks the part.
Yeah, I think he looks the part big time, and I think he's got the body to do it right away. So, good. We need it. He can't get hurt, though, because we're not deep at the position. I hate, having to call guys out, but we've got guys that should never start at linebacker for Florida State that were out there last year. And it's, what are we doing? That's an area of grave concern. Now, the game is shifted to where you have 5 defensive backs on the field at almost all times anyhow to match up with opposing offenses. So, you don't need to have an overabundance of depth at linebacker. You need to have a few quality players, and hopefully we see that this year. We didn't, I have high hopes for Amari Gaynor as well. So there's a legacy player who has the requisite attitude, who got hurt right when he got here.
When you get Hamza down into the fold as well, and whether or not he actually is called a linebacker is immaterial, because if he's playing up near the line of scrimmage in the box,
he's
then
making tackles, right? And he doesn't have to cover people. It's a good thing.
Triggering downhill, then that's he's
good at that.
He's forceful.
Mm-hmm. No, that's something that we've been lacking. So when people bring up specifics about lacking talent, if you're talking about linebacker, I nod my head with you. If you're talking about the entirety of recruiting classes and what Florida State's brought in here over the last 2 to 3 years, I'm not nodding with you. I'm shaking my head back and forth. I think we do have enough talent to win football games, a lot of them, at wide receiver and running back, if you could just block. But, that's a big if, and we couldn't a year ago. And it doesn't, look, Tamorrion Terry would start anywhere.
Yeah.
He would start anywhere.
He's the only one.
He would start. Offense. He would start at wide receiver for Clemson. He would start for Alabama. He would start for Ohio State. He'd start anywhere. So, you don't have to have like 5 of those. It's nice, but if you got one that could play anywhere in the country and is going to play in the NFL, you've got a weapon. You've got a difference maker. You've got a game changer, as they say.
I thought in watching the spring game and at least getting a glimpse into the vanilla of Kendall Briles' offense. I'm not saying that they could completely mitigate the offensive line. Nobody ever could. But it looks like he's going to do a much better job of it than we saw last year, of working around the weaknesses.
You brought it up. Your quarterback's hands quickly.
Well, and you brought it up a lot, the levels, the complementary pass routes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got easy reads for the quarterback to make. And the fact that we didn't see as much of that last year beyond the bubble, getting out and making some blocks, which will be a big part of this offense too. But I think there's a lot to be said that if it's not working by, say, the second quarter of game 1, we're just going to get the ball out of his damn hands. It looks like Kendall is more than okay with that. We don't have to worry about establishing the run if we can't block.
The problems that we talk about ad nauseum at this point surrounding Florida State's program have a lot more to do with the off the field than on it. The result of the off the field problems in organization and a lack thereof, not recruiting certain segments of the football team and those kinds of things, poor coaching, game day, that kind of stuff, or day-to-day, I should say, at practice. I don't think those players developed last year at all, really, lead to losses, ultimately on the field. But it's getting your ass together off of it that is going to pay dividends down the line. This has been obviously we've talked about it to the point where people get frustrated with us, but Jimbo checked out. So this is not a one-year problem. This is going back a ways. They haven't been developing players, and they haven't been organized and structured and disciplined in the right ways like they were during a glorious 29-game win streak in some time. Basically, you're going all the way back to 2015.
Well, did that team develop in 2014?
Well, no, but
Jalen did by sheer will. But
yeah, I would just say that obviously the remnants of what happened leading up to that season led us to go undefeated. So there were still elements of that in play. There were selfish players taking the field who had the NFL in mind and didn't always show up to play hard for 4 quarters, but the structure of what they were in the national championship season and the build to that season was still in play. It's further removed from it we got, the more evidence was that the newcomers were not being taught anything like the old guys had been. And these players weren't being developed the way that the 2011, 12, 13 teams were.
No, I feel like that you can probably name on one hand the guys who actually developed beyond that 2014 season. And DeMarcus Walker is probably the earliest example, or Jalen, I should say, because, again, he did that all basically by sheer will, and he played a lot of different positions. So he got the cross-training value of that was amazing for him. But there aren't many. Derwin, I don't know. Was he developed? I don't know.
You know, he missed a lot of time due to injury. We didn't utilize his skill set obviously correctly, because if you see the way he's used in the NFL, well, they're getting something a little bit more out of him. That's for sure.
That was what we said on the eve of the draft and draft night as we did the show, was if Derwin is the right pick, you know, for the Bucs or whoever was picking top 12,
It'll
top 15.
be because they get much more out of a freak athlete.
We'll be angry in 3 years and say, well, damn it, really?
Well, we knew he was a freak, and then just, you know, he wasn't all that productive here because we didn't play well around him, and we certainly didn't coach him up.
We had him play center field the last year. It's like, would you rather get him nearer the ball or?
Yeah, let him go make plays.
Yeah. He's destroyed a right tackle as a freshman.
Picked him off the ground.
What do you think he'd do as a junior?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's damn it, man, is as I like to say.
A lot of years of damn it, man.
There's a lot of damn it, man.
years.
Yeah, well, it doesn't take long to get fed up, especially when the balance of power in college football has shifted over to a team in your division. That's okay. And it's helmed by a man we frequently made fun of and called a clown. That hurts because we were wrong, and they're awesome, and we're a million miles away.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Jeep Renegades, and they've all arrived and are on the lot for immediate delivery. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude with MSRP starting at $25,120, on sale now for $18,870. That's a savings of $6,250. A new Jeep starting at only $18,870. Those prices are unheard of and can only be found at your Jeep headquarters of America, Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. No other dealer can offer you this kind of savings. We buy in mass quantities and pass along the savings to you. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude, starting at $18,870. Payments as low as $299 a month. On the corner of West Tennessee and Capitol Circle, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Check us out on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. All prices include rebates and incentives plus tax, title, and dealer fee. State number 18J605. Must finance through Chrysler Capital and qualify for all rebates and incentives.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left.
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Take me out to the ball game.
Indeed. And with weather like this, it's good to see you out on this magnificent, sizable deck.
It is quite impressive. You can see it all the way from the stadium.
What a deck. What a deck indeed.
I hear that a lot.
You know, I remember, what was it, mid-90s you opened up? Place was so small.
Now it's huge.
All I know is a lot of good times have been spent on this deck. Man, people enjoy it. They laugh, they sing, they drink, they eat, and they celebrate all the goodness of the Gordo's deck.
And you can come have a Gordo Smash.
Delicious. Sitting on the deck with a Gordo Smash. That's a good day at the office.
Or put a Cuban in your mouth.
And other food. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Kevin Winter, closing in on the NBA draft tomorrow night. There's already been some more movement around the NBA. A Woj bomb this afternoon. Mike Conley's 12-year tenure with the Memphis Grizzlies has come to an end. That pretty much clears the way for Murray State's Ja Morant to be selected number 2 overall tomorrow night, assuming everyone is accurate that Zion Williamson goes number 1 to New Orleans. Here's the deal. Conley has been traded by Memphis to the Utah Jazz, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, for Grayson Allen, Kyle Korver, Jay Crowder. No, we're not done. The 23rd overall pick in tomorrow night's NBA draft and a future first-round pick. Won't go into details because it gets a little ice cream headache-ish, but bottom line, it's another first-round pick. The Jazz will get Mike Conley. Also means Ricky Rubio's tenure likely done in Utah. He could wind up on another team. The 31-year-old Conley played all 12 seasons of his career in Memphis, finishes the Grizzlies' career leader in points, assists, three-pointers, and also games played. One team that is going to be under the focal point tomorrow night, outside of the top few picks, that will be the Boston Celtics because of what's happening. Kyrie Irving, likely out of town. Al Horford now appears on his way out. ESPN Stephen A. Smith, for a team that had everything lined up, now blames Danny Ainge for the mess.
Mr. Danny Ainge, enough's enough. We respect Danny Ainge. We respect the job that he has done. It is undeniable. But it's also time that we highlight what he hasn't been able to do. He was reluctant, highly reluctant to pull the trigger and to get a deal. He had the assets. He could have gotten a big-time player.
But he did not. Coverage of the NBA draft begins tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Television, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
All right, well, that was a fun sojourn into 45 minutes of FSU football. I guess anecdotes and the like, but analysis, possibilities. Did we give you possibilities? I think so. I'm on record as saying I think they're going to win 8 or more games this year, and I'll stand by that.
If we do, then we will have distanced ourselves from at least 2 of the following: Wake, Boston College, Syracuse, and NC State. We'll have passed at least 2 of them and say, all right, we're at least not these guys. But then it's a dogfight with the other 2.
Yeah, the people who think that we're destined to have another poor season and that we'll have to play out the string as Willie is here for another year and then gone, so they believe that's where this is headed. If you're of that ilk, then you easily find 6 losses. You would say, Virginia, Syracuse, Miami, Clemson, Florida, or some combination of that, and throw in Boise. And, then there you go. That's what you do. You got to believe, if you believe that's the future, then you have to believe that we lose that game in Jacksonville. And the only way that I could see that happening, meaning that we could have a disastrous season in year 2. Keep in mind, I don't think we're good, so I'm not saying we're going to be a great team. I'm not just because
get it twisted.
Well, just because I believe we can win 8 games doesn't necessarily mean that I think we're very good. I just think the schedule is conducive to us winning 8 games, and that we will be improved. And just by improving, coupled with that schedule, you fall into a winning season, maybe a little bit better than a winning season. And that's what 8 wins would look like to me. 7 wins, certainly. But if you don't think that's our future and you think that we got the wrong guy and that we're going to have to wait it out through 2 more bad seasons before we can fire him because of the financial situation and then lure whoever the next guy is going to be, then it means you believe, like I said, that you're going to lose that game in Boise, because the only way I could get us to 6 losses is if we lose that game to Boise. I can't see it any other way.
Well, I think we would have said similar things last year, but I can't get us to 7. But we found ways to lose games that we would never have imagined.
Completely concur. We underestimated just how bad the offensive line would be and that there would be injuries at that play. I mean, listen, when you roll out 9 different starting 5, if you will, on the offensive line, different combinations, it tells you. I mean, I wouldn't even have to tell you the scores of games. If I said Team A is going to start 9 different combinations of offensive lines for the year in a 12-game schedule, you're going to say that team didn't have a very good year.
When you go through the offseason, I think you end up, and you're not trying to do this you're not trying to be fake, but you end up taking every position of where your team's going to be because you're testing yourself of what you really believe. And I wish I had just stuck with my thought in August, which was I can't trust any of these guys to stay healthy because history demands that they won't. When we had our starting offensive line, the projected starting 5 that you got maybe at ACC meetings or the beginning of fall camp, you're like, I mean, really? You're going to look at this starting group and you're going to tell me that you're good to go for 12 games with all of these guys? The odds say you're not going to be good to go with 3 of them, and that just ended up bearing out. Now, maybe this year, I'm not counting on Cole Minshew, who is, right? Dickerson's gone. He's now at Alabama, whatever. But out of this group, maybe the outlook isn't so bleak for health. Maybe mental health, but not physical health. They should be available more so than last year's group.
Yeah, it is hard to imagine that we not only finished 5-7 a season ago, but we're 2 games under 500 in the conference, and we're a far cry from being as good as Syracuse, NC State. Georgia Tech went 5-3 in the conference. They had a winning record. Pitt went 6-2 in the conference. Pitt did. And obviously went on to go to a bowl.
Yeah, and don't say, well, they played in the Coastal. Come on now.
No. I mean, they went 6-2. Teams in our own division, one of whom, which we beat, had better records than us by the name of Boston College, NC State, Syracuse. We had the same record as Wake Forest in conference. Wake, whom we throttled. And had we not come back, by the way, we're on the cusp, I think, of getting boat raced. That's the weirdest outcome of the season.
Yeah.
This close to getting boat raced and then doing the boat racing. That all happened after the first quarter of the Wake game.
And then getting James Blackman in there for a couple of meaningless snaps to take away the availability.
Now, Tom, we already discussed how poorly organized we were. We don't need to go back down that path. Virginia, better record in conference. Miami, better record in conference. Virginia Tech, better record in conference. Wake Forest, same record in conference. Boston College, better record in conference. NC State, better record in conference. Syracuse, better record in conference. That's a lot of teams to name.
Wow, I wish we could have got BC, right? Because we would have had the head-to-head tiebreaker. That's where we are.
Could have finished 4th.
Right. If we could have just won that extra game to tie BC.
Could have finished 4th in the Atlantic.
Just that head-to-head tiebreaker. We had it.
Not 4th out of all the ACC teams, 4th in the Atlantic. is what that would have got us. But we did not. But alas, we did not. Instead, we were 5th in the Atlantic. That is unbelievable.
Now listen here, baseball team. You bring the bats tonight. Let's pretend the baseball
pack some runs
is the recent history of our football program, and let's just take it out on those baseballs.
Now, you could have been North Carolina. Could have gone 1-7 in conference and 2-9 on the season. And you would have had to watch that team go 2-9 and know that Larry freaking Fedora is your coach.
Well,
we have the I like to wear way too tight of shirts Fedora family.
You'll have a loose pullover wearing Mac Brown now, right?
Well, he's got to. He's got to buy XXL these days. My goodness, Mac. Time away from the game has certainly served you well, at least when it comes to bellying up to the bar and having a big meal or two.
They've got a top 10 recruiting class right now.
Mac's in there getting it done, buddy.
It's quantity, but still.
Yeah. No, I know. It's I can't find those 6 losses that others point to me if we don't lose to Boise. But if we lose to Boise, I guess it's all possible. At that point, I'll go home. We'll take the year off. I'll drive from Jacksonville, come back, and say, I'm going to take the rest of the year off, guys.
Lightning hockey coverage coming up next.
It would just, it's funny. Certain situations, you say, as you have a positive outlook on something, and somebody might ask you why, and if it's frivolous, you say, well, I can't accept any other way. I cannot look at this any other way. I can't physically deal with this. Emotionally or mentally, I can't deal with this. That would be us this upcoming year. We're going to win 8 games because I can't think of the alternative, Tom. I do not want to. I can't do it anymore. We've got to win 7 to 8 games. See how I already kind of acquiesced at maybe 7?
Yeah, you sure did. Wait till September 15th.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
This is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
We're back with a state champion. That's right, a state champion head coach. His name is Titus Nixon. He is the basketball coach at St. John Paul II Catholic High School. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing great, Tom.
So I've got 2 questions, and the first one I'm going to ask you about is the state championship. What made this year, this team so special?
If I had to use one word, I would say resiliency. We preach that word from the first day of practice, that no matter what happens, we as a group need to stick together, and we need to form a brotherhood that is so tight that nothing can break us. And our group was talented, but I think what made them so special is that they were resilient when things got hard. Instead of severing and breaking apart, they instead came together even stronger. And then also selfless, that this group put the team above themselves in a way that I have hardly ever seen in sports, whether it be on the high school, college, or pro level. And I think that's what made this year's 2019 state champions at JP2 so special.
It sounds like even though you built a culture, a championship culture at that, at JP2, it doesn't just come from the basketball program itself.
JP2 is a wonderful family environment. It is a school that prides itself in helping students develop and form in mind, body, and spirit. it truly is a family atmosphere.
For more information about athletics, academics, student life, visit sjpiichs.org for St. John Paul II Catholic High School.
I know you know this, and you probably have already suggested it, and maybe she's already had it. But, Tom, I'm bringing your girlfriend into the fold to talk about Bumpa's Local 349.
Don't you bring her in here.
I'm telling you now that she would love the ahi salad.
Oh, yes.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
that was
delicious.
That was the first thing she ever tried, and now anytime we are in the neighborhood, which is, a Capitol Circle right between I-10 and Centerville. Like
you're
right
giving
in the
people
there.
The location for Bumpa's Local 349. Mm-hmm. Perfect. I like it.
Yes.
They have delicious food. I like tacos. You can't screw up tacos, but they do really good tacos.
I am a big fan of the Uncle Sal because the Uncle Sal is sausage, peppers, and onions. You can't go wrong with that trio, man.
You like the peppers and onions more than I do.
It must be like a New York thing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Everybody's a little bit Italian because they're coming from New York because the peppers and onions isn't exactly Irish
cuisine. I like
cuisine.
It when they're cooked up like that.
Oh,
yeah,
it's hard to beat. A little mustard? Yeah.
I'm forever going to champion the wings and the Cobb salad. It's Bumpa's Local 349. They got live music. They've got a number of televisions and, of course, tasty beverages, man. Good stuff.
This is Lisa Brady. 17 years ago, I opened Lisa's Paint and Body to provide Tallahassee with an honest repair shop. Thanks to you, our customers, we have outgrown our current location and soon will be moving. Our new location is twice the size, easier access, state-of-the-art equipment, and the newest technology.
ASE and ICAR certified technicians. Personalized attention, guaranteed results. 2820 Mahan Drive. Call 385-2665. Lisa's Paint and Body Shop, MV46050.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms, but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
The good news? EPI is manageable.
But to get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of your symptoms.
Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the conversation with your doctor. Brought to you by AbbVie.
Hendrick.
We're celebrating the Hendrick Summer Sales Event at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC with huge savings on the hottest models, like the 2019 GMC Sierra 1500 truck, up to $12,000 off MSRP, over 71 to from, just in time for summer. We are professional grade. Come see us on Capitol Circle Northeast under the giant American flag, or visit DaleJuniorGMC.com. Not all vehicles will qualify for maximum discount. Must finance with GM Financial. Plus tax, title, license, dealer installed options, and dealer admin charge. See dealer for details.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio. WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Kevin Winter, closing in on the NBA draft tomorrow night. There's already been some more movement around the NBA. A Woj bomb this afternoon. Mike Conley's 12-year tenure with the Memphis Grizzlies has come to an end. That pretty much clears the way for Murray State's Ja Morant to be selected number 2 overall tomorrow night, assuming everyone is accurate that Zion Williamson goes number 1 to New Orleans. Here's the deal. Conley has been traded by Memphis to the Utah Jazz, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, for Grayson Allen, Kyle Korver, Jay Crowder. No, we're not done. The 23rd overall pick in tomorrow night's NBA draft and a future first-round pick. Won't go into details because it gets a little ice cream headache-ish, but bottom line, it's another first-round pick. The Jazz will get Mike Conley. Also means Ricky Rubio's tenure likely done in Utah. He could wind up on another team. The 31-year-old Conley played all 12 seasons of his career in Memphis, finishes the Grizzlies' career leader in points, assists, three-pointers, and also games played. One team that is going to be under the focal point tomorrow night, outside of the top few picks, that will be the Boston Celtics because of what's happening. Kyrie Irving, likely out of town. Al Horford now appears on his way out. ESPN Stephen A. Smith, for a team that had everything lined up, now blames Danny Ainge for the mess.
Mr. Danny Ainge, enough's enough. We respect Danny Ainge. We respect the job that he has done. It is undeniable. But it's also time that we highlight what he hasn't been able to do. He was reluctant, highly reluctant to pull a trigger and to get a deal. He had the assets. He could have gotten a big-time player.
But he did not. Coverage of the NBA Draft begins tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, ESPN Television, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
For tuning to it and a fine Balls McWednesday to you and yours. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. If you do, go find us. All 3 hours posted every day upon the conclusion of the show, both to iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the show if you like. JCS at 979 ESPNradio.com. On Twitter, it's at JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, Periscopers. Thanks for joining us. I was looking at the ACC's composite football schedule, Tom. I'm in. I'm locked in now. We're moving to football.
That's the giant form that has like the looks like a cross.
Yeah, I was looking at it during the break just because I wanted to highlight certain games. You know, you get the non-conference games, and then you get the top ACC games, and Florida State on the mind today quite a bit, football related. I know it was a topic in the afternoon. I know this morning I heard some talk, and then I also read something today. I got out of the blue texts from friends all around the state today, Tom. People are, I don't know what happened. Maybe it's our presence in the College World Series.
I think they feel the writing is on the wall. They're like me. And they're like, damn it. Okay, so what's next on the agenda?
Yeah, writing it off. You're like, okay.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I just, when I was driving around today, I was like, all right, so Thursday's going to look like this, Friday.
You've already moved on.
Oh,
You're like,
no, we're not playing Friday night. I hope I'm wrong.
I hope you're wrong, too, but I think I view this differently. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it more. I'll talk more about the game tonight momentarily. To me, again, I've just really appreciated the ride, and I've got a lot of gratitude, and I've got little expectation. So when they won that game the other night, when they beat Arkansas, I was floored. I told you before that game I thought we'd lose. I didn't think we'd hit, and we didn't.
Didn't matter.
But we won the game because baseball's weird, and Drew was awesome. And so, it can happen. That it just reminded me that baseball's a weird deal. I was right about something, and I was wrong about something. And the thing I was right about would have been the reason to predict us to lose, and yet we won.
If they win tonight, try and turn it around. Mm-hmm. If they win tonight and Grady looks good again, and you could pair that with his effort in Athens, then it does get a little fun. Because it's not the end of the world to spend Parrish and Van Eyck against Michigan if we were to go the distance.
You buy time, right. Yeah.
Because then a game one doesn't look so foreboding.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I'm going to let you, as you've done all day, convince yourself that this impossible dream is real, that they're going to win a national championship.
Just not tonight. Get me to the weekend. Come on, man.
I just want more time. Just a little bit more time. You're the guy on the deathbed who's like, no, give me another day. I just want one more day to say goodbye. All right. FSU baseball, give us one more day.
Boy, that was really sad. That analogy. That poor man.
That poor man. He wants one more day. Doctor says nay.
Where's Brad Pitt? I need him.
I need another day.
I need Joe Black.
Top 10 ACC non-conference games. You ready? Texas A&M at Clemson, September the 7th. You going to play music? Is that what you're doing?
No. I just put my hands out saying, yep, that's about right.
Miami versus Florida and the Camping World kickoff in Orlando. You're welcome, Orlando.
That's next weekend.
Clemson at South Carolina, November 30th. I guess. I'm throwing them out there. I don't know. Florida State at Florida, same weekend. Duke versus Alabama.
Oh, no. That's on the list?
That's a top 10 ACC non-conference game, Slick.
Great
That's
job.
what we got. Here
Good
we
scheduling.
go. Let's go, Duke. Shock the world.
Is BC Kansas on there?
It should be, because I put it number 1.
That's a better game than Alabama Duke. More compelling in the fourth quarter.
UCF at Pitt. Ooh, sneaky.
I like that Pitt has gone full time to the old blue and mustard.
It looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's good. I almost want that shirt. Like, I'm not a Pitt fan, but I would wear that. That's a good looking shirt.
If it said Pittsburgh, because then you could use it as a Pirates shirt.
Yeah, I could. You're right. Florida State, Boise State, and Jacksonville. There was a billboard up when I drove by Jacksonville this yesterday, advertising the game.
Come bake with us.
It's like, hey, Florida State's playing Boise State here in Jacksonville. Come on. Come one, come all. Everybody, let's go.
Do you hear that sizzle? It's the folks in TIAA just a couple months from now.
NC State versus West Virginia. Ooh, didn't know that was on the schedule, did you? Pitt at Penn State. Always a good game.
For some reason.
It is. It's a compelling game. And Georgia at Georgia Tech. That, according to College Football News. That's just, those are non-conference games.
I think every one of those games that's listed has a chance to be closer than Duke, Alabama. Every one of those games that is not, in fact, of course, Duke and Alabama.
I would absolutely concur.
So that should not be a top 10 game. It's ridiculous.
So what you would do is what I did, which was already announced, that the BC-Kansas game is compelling. It's on the ACC network,
Yes,
and I can't wait to watch it, buddy. It's going to be awesome.
That's Saturday? Is that the same day we play Boise? I got to look at that.
No, I hope not.
Well, if it is, then we're having the unlimited tickets and watching that game.
We're just going to stay there?
Yeah.
We won't go into the stadium and watch us play?
Oh, no, I think it's in the afternoon. Well, I'll look it up.
It ought to be a prime time. That should be an 8 p.m. kickoff on the ACC network for everybody to race indoors and get settled, get you some wings.
Oh, we got time. It's September 13th.
Okay. I thought it was a little later.
7:30 kick. Ooh, is that up against our Virginia? Got to go back to the schedule.
No. Golly. I don't know. That's another great game. Top 10 ACC conference games.
It's the Friday before we play Virginia.
Right,
so
buddy.
in Charlottesville.
We'll be there with the Blinding Beauty.
We'll do a watch party in Charlottesville for BC Kansas.
And I know the bar we're going to go to. I've been to it. It's awesome. And, Tom, you'll love it. They have shuffleboard.
Well, I'm already in. Yes, there we go.
They've got that. They've got, what's the beanie bag thing?
That would be,
what's it called?
Bags.
Yeah, what's it called?
Cornhole.
Yeah, they've got that. Cornholing. So you can do that. You can cornhole at the at the bar that I'm talking about. You can shuffleboard, and you can watch football. They also have this ring game where you throw these rings.
My goodness.
Onto a pole.
Rings, poles, cornholes.
It's a magical festive occasion at this particular Charlottesville bar that we'll be at. Clemson at Syracuse. Virginia Tech at Miami. Florida State at Clemson. Doesn't that just make you shiver? Miami at Florida State. Willie, if you do nothing else, you better win that game. Clemson at NC State. Willie's driving down the road. Jesus, Jeff. Virginia Tech at Virginia. Miami at Pitt. Syracuse at NC State. Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech.
Syracuse at NC State. That's a big game for the balance of power in the Atlantic, sadly.
That sounds like an October night on the ACC network.
Oh, yeah. Temperatures finally dropped into the upper 70s here for a low in Tallahassee.
Welcome to Syracuse at NC State here on the ACC network. Welcome in, friends. I'm Jeff Cameron. And then I would just do it.
Oh, really? Yeah. So you're getting that game.
I'm getting that gig. That's
okay.
It. I want that game right there. Actually, I want any game involving Boston College. Nobody will have more.
May I be the Boston College ACC network reporter? Can I be the Sal Pal?
I want to be the sideline guy just so I have a chance to talk to my guy more than once a year. That's what I want. And by the way, we get to see him next month. And you're going to bring a pastry.
I've got to bring a pastry. That's correct.
What kind are you going to give him? What kind are you going to?
Something with Boston cream.
You think he'll appreciate that?
Probably not.
He might He might. He remembered you. I'm excited to talk to him.
Coach, I know this isn't a violation because you're a paid employee. So this is not an NCAA violation. I've got a pastry for you.
Oh, man. By the way, my favorite, kind of obscure team, and the reason I like them? They play an ACC foe this year. Utah State will be taking on Wake Forest in late August.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. That two teams. You love to gamble on Wake. I love to gamble on Utah State. The two collide, buddy. We should bet. We should put it on the big board. We should make a bold endeavor out of this.
Well, I don't know. I got to see the preseason mag and see what Wake Forest has coming back. How many 3-star upperclassmen do they have coming back? Maybe a couple 2s?
Yeah, I'll read to you a text that I read earlier, and I'm going to read this to you right now. I'm pulling up my phone. You guys can see this on YouTube. You know that I'm doing this. Here you go. This is, let's see. Here's a mutual friend of ours. He writes, Jeff, I heard the show yesterday. If you're looking for 6 losses, here they are. Boise State, Virginia, Syracuse, Miami, Clemson, and Florida.
It's a compelling case, yes. Just by listing the team names.
You just heard the team names and you went, he's right, whoever that is.
That could
What you can do, though, is you can stop the list at Boise. They lose that game, anything's on the table.
Boy, God, you are really setting it up.
I'm gonna bring you back around. I'm gonna make you feel better in a moment, okay? I know you're nervous right now. I'll get you back in proper order.
Everything is on the line. That's what you're saying about this Boise game. The season's on the line.
Yes.
Willie Taggart's tenure is on the line.
Yes, I think that's true.
In one game.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, I think we've arrived at that place.
So that's not you being Max Kellerman.
Nope, that's me telling you right now. That's what I think happens. Yeah.
So that's you being Will Kane.
Somebody
has to tell the truth.
Well, no,
and I'll tell the right version of the truth.
I'm not even proclaiming that. I think a lot of people realize that. I think a lot of people think that's true.
They could lose that game and win at home, beat Virginia on the road.
No, they won't.
No. You're like trapping me to say, well, let's see.
No,
yeah.
No, I don't think that's true, Tom. I think if they lose that game, they won't beat Virginia on the road. Yeah, I think there's that much on the line. They got to feel good about themselves. They haven't felt good about themselves in 3 freaking years.
That is true.
So
for the entire time they've been on campus for most of them.
Right. That's what I mean. They haven't felt good about themselves in forever. There it is. Win that game, you feel good about yourself. Confidence is important.
We need to feel good about ourselves.
Yes, look in the mirror and say it. I'm okay. I'm all right, and people like me. It's Jeff Cameron Show.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
nervous. I think that's probably a good sign. I feel good. Maybe it's just, again, have a sense of gratitude. Makes it a lot easier to watch a baseball game because perhaps expectations aren't there, weighing you down. I think that's a healthy way to look at tonight's game. I know that's easier said than done when it's, win or go home. But
I'm just so proud that you've held to that because I can't shake it. I can't all day. It's not going away. So I'm living through you, man, and your optimism when I was planning out my week.
Well, if you think about it, I'm going to give myself an awful lot of credit here.
Okay.
I have been spectacular. I have really been spectacular when it comes to...
Don't let me stop you.
The expectations and what was possible and what wasn't with this baseball team. I've pretty much nailed it every step of the way. And, just ride and die with me right now because I'm your guy. I got you here, and I was able to, I think, maybe quell the nerves some across the board. And if you're nervous right now and you're listening to this, just say, what would Jeff do? And what Jeff would do is say, let's pop a cold one and watch a little baseball. It doesn't really matter because here's the deal. We shouldn't be here. We've scored one GD run in 18 innings of College World Series baseball, and we're 1-1. That doesn't happen. It's college baseball. You don't lose as many games as we did this year, walk in as a 3 seed on the road against a national seed and pound them. Go on to Alex Box, one of the most famed locales in all of college baseball history, have basically, been given zero chance and sweep. You don't go to the College World Series and score 1 run and win your first game against a national seed, throw a shutout, and then, go on and basically, do nothing, be completely impotent for 18 innings of baseball and still have a chance to see your season continue. This is all gravy. This is all gravy. And if they lose tonight, that will suck. I'll be disappointed. We'll talk about it tomorrow. It's what we do. But don't get it, twisted here. This is all really something we didn't see coming, not something we had a right to expect. The story's already been written. The only thing that can differ now is a national championship. Short of that, they're going to lose in the College World Series. They're going to. They're not going to win the national championship. The only thing that changes the story, Mike Martin's story, that is, in his final season, is if they win the whole thing. And truthfully, if they win tonight, do you still think they're going to go on and win the College World Series? No.
I think they've got a decent shot to beat Michigan 2 times in a row because we're bringing up our top 2 pitchers, and they don't really score a bunch themselves.
Yeah, but do you think they would go on and beat Vanderbilt, for example?
I don't know who's going to emerge over there.
Do you think they would go on and beat Louisville?
They could?
Yeah, they could. I'm just saying, based on the percentages, what chance do you give this team to win a national championship? That's my point with tonight. They could win tonight. I want them to win tonight. And I want this dream to continue. Of course I do. It would be amazing. But I don't have any real expectations that this Florida State team is going to win the national championship.
Probably not, but I don't want to go home. I'm not done, man. I'm still on the playground.
I got you, but I'm talking
10 more minutes, Dad.
Yeah, I got it. I'm just talking about mindset when you sit down to watch a game.
I just dread that it's over. I've had so much fun, and I've had a chance to go to quite a few games with either fans or as media, whatever. But then the Baton Rouge trip happens. I don't know. I just feel bonded with this group.
Yeah, you invested. You invested in a way you didn't all year long.
That's correct.
And I think a lot of our fan base has, judging by the email and the message boards and Twitter, it seems to me that people have invested in a team that they didn't believe in all year long. And they've really shifted what they think is possible and what expectations they have for a group they didn't believe in. And I'm just reminding people, you didn't believe in them. I didn't believe in them. None of us did. We had every right not to. They sucked most of the season. So this is just, good fortune.
Yeah, it is. But I think the reason that there's a little more emotion here is because Mike Martin was going to be done in the dead of night, man. Like his career was really, it was.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, most of the people that showed up at the Roast and Toast were the Animals, and then his former players from like the 70s and the 80s, maybe some sprinkled in from recent generations.
No, you're right.
And then it was just going to be done, like out in Athens, anonymously, with the true fans of the program who traveled to go see it.
But you're making my point now. You're making my point now.
But now I just want it because everybody it's almost like they fell back in love with the guy, and it's the last hour.
Yeah, I think both viewpoints or perspectives are mistaken. Mike Martin still is who he is. He's an all-time legend. He's a all-time winningest coach. He's all these things. He was going to be that whether they lost in Athens Regional or not. He's also a guy that I think people were ready to move on from, frankly, and I think they probably still are. That's the oddity here. They want it for him. We all do. We've wanted that for a long time because he's been an honorable man. He's been a good Nole. He's been a loyal, trustworthy, fine representative of all things Garnet and Gold. He's that whether they win or they don't. But I guess given that little sparkle of light, this little run, people believed it to be possible. But this team was still pretty sorry all year long. And they still have all kinds of holes. And so the expectation that they would end this season with a national championship was virtually nil at the end of the regular season. That doesn't change just because they got to Omaha. Now, listen, you can't win a national championship if you're not there. So they're there, and that brings you to the table. But your assessment of who they were, and what this program was going into the postseason really ought not change that much.
That's fair. I wouldn't be disappointed tonight if they lost for me. I would be disappointed for them.
No, I'm saying the people that are nervous and worried and scared, I don't think that the perspective that you're looking, I don't know. To me, I'm one.
You're at peace if they lose tonight.
Completely.
I wouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm complete. He shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. I am. They stunk. This is gravy. That's all my point is. It's easier for me when I'm watching a team that I'm invested in, and I'm invested in every Florida State team, just like you are. If my expectation is that they should win the national championship, and we've had football teams where I thought at the beginning of the year, or at least early on in the season, this team's good enough to win it all, that makes me nervous. Because there's something to lose. There's something tangible to lose. You could not meet expectations. You could fail.
But in a way, you're not enjoying it then. You're just protecting it.
No, that's correct. That's correct. That's the problem with expectations. When you get to an elite level, the way we were in the 90s, every year, I thought we should win the national championship. We've got a chance to win the national championship. The games weren't a lot of fun, unless we were playing like Duke and you knew you were going to drop 70 on somebody. And even that's not fun. It's just kind of, all right, nobody get hurt.
The first quarter's fun.
Yeah. But you are protecting something. You live for 2 games with a team like that. You live for the Miami and the Florida game, maybe one good ACC team. You live for, or an out-of-conference game like Notre Dame or something. You live for those games. The others are just run-of-the-mill games. They're not something that you, I don't know. They're not something that you really enjoy other than, hey, this performance is impressive or somebody's going to make a lot of money because you can tell they're
big game for a freshman on the road.
Yeah,
whatever.
Stuff like it's little things. It's not about the result because the result's a given. That's a different feel. The teams I get nervous for are always ones with great expectations. The ones that I just enjoy the ride are the ones that are upsetting people and doing something that they weren't supposed to do, that their talent doesn't belie. And I think that's kind of what this team is doing. I think they're a pretty talented bunch, but they're not elite. When I watch Vanderbilt, when I watch some of these other teams during the course of the year, I think, we're not there yet. But, yeah, I get what you're saying. They're out there. They've given themselves a chance. Therefore, you're in. I'm in too. But I don't have an expectation of a national championship.
I don't either. I'm just saying that if they lost tonight, I would be not heartbroken necessarily, but I'd be really disappointed because I've enjoyed this so much and I just don't want the ride to end. Tomorrow I'd be at peace.
Yeah.
But tonight I'd be like, oh, man.
Man, yeah, no,
this was so much fun.
In the moment, it sucks to lose. I mean, you don't want to lose. I don't want to give the wrong impression here. I want them to win. It's just that I'm more of the when the moment happens. If they lose, let's say they lose tonight, 13-1, and it's over in the 5th.
Well, you've had your moment then in the 5th. By the 9th, you'll be fine.
But what I would have said in the moment of realization is good on you. Good on you guys. Thanks for helping, this guy, this legend, this all-time great Nole go out on a high note. Only one team's going to win the national title, so that's not the standard, right? You just kind of, good on you, man. They could have gone in the dead of night, like you said. They could have gone, got swept in the Athens
That
regional.
was the last 2 months of the year. Everything was the dead of night.
Yeah, you're just like, whatever, right? But they already interrupted that pitiful, sort of wimpish, if you will, fade into obscurity. They already interrupted that. They already said, no, we're not doing that. We're going to be here for this old guy. We're going to make a run. We're going to make it fun again. You're going to invest in us. You're going to have some good times along the way. You're going to watch us go to Alex Box and sweep LSU. You're going to watch us pound Georgia and make their fans squirm the way we have before. And you're going to see us get all the way out to Omaha where we can properly hold on high this guy's career. And they've done that. Everything out in Omaha, I've talked to two people that are there this week. Trey Jones is out there this week. I talked to him last night. He said it's been awesome that the fans there of the other teams have all, in their own way, paid tribute. Florida State got the loudest roar when the teams were introduced. I mean, this has been an homage, if you will, to Mike Martin. So that the goodness that needed to happen happened.
I'm just saying that the reason I'm worried about tonight is I think tonight is the tougher of the three potential games. If you can get through this one,
you feel good about the next two.
I think you've got a better chance to win those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to have your two best guys, and I don't think Michigan is – I mean, they're a darling, and they're a team of destiny just like we were until we lost to them.
Right.
But they're imminently beatable. I think they're imminently beatable, and it doesn't mean that the odds are in our favor that we're going to win 2 in a row over Michigan if we get past tonight, but I'd like to see us try, and I think that'd be freaking phenomenal.
You and me both. And I will say this, if you recall, we talked a little bit about when do you get nervous. Well, I suppose when we came back and beat LSU, I began to get nervous in the sense that, we could get to Omaha. Oh, my God, we could actually win this regional and get to Omaha. But then we did. And so I was like, okay, we're in Omaha. Then we won the first game. And I thought, goodness, something's going on here. Mm-hmm. This is pretty crazy. But the loss the other night kind of, I think, dampened expectations of magic.
Well, because it was unceremonious, too. It's not a 7-6 game where you feel like you got cheated.
Yeah, we're not hitting.
We didn't get cheated.
No. And we haven't hit in a long time. I mean, you go back to the second game against LSU.
Atmospheres, be it in bars or in homes, watching that game, I mean, it's dead from the word go. It's hard to get uplifted because even I was saying yesterday, you get the tying run at the plate, and you're like, this ain't leaving the yard.
Nobody's going yard here.
I need pass balls left and right. I need errors. I need college baseball to be wacky, wild, and zany.
You need Michigan to give it to us. What's weird? I told you, and I couldn't put my finger on it because I'm not breaking down, like the Zapruder film, every AB. But there's a sense that we're not having good at-bats, and I've been saying that. I don't feel like we've had good at-bats, fifth inning plus, second game LSU.
Martin said it post-game, which is interesting that the manager was willing to go there.
We're not having good at-bats. When I watch us play, we're having terrible ABs. And I'm sorry, but Drew Mendoza encapsulates this. His ABs are terrible. He's giving us nothing right now. And, when I see something like that, I think, well, I don't know what's fair to expect here, but, or what kind of belief I have in them coming to the plate tonight against Texas Tech. But I got a call yesterday from somebody out there in Omaha, and they said, I've been in the stands, so I haven't watched it on television. Does it look like we're having terrible at-bats? So you feel that too? Yeah, man, we're having terrible ABs. And what I find weird about that is this. Mike Martin Jr. did a bang-up job of preparing this team for the Georgia Regional and the LSU Regional. He got this team in the right headspace. The approach, in my interview with him, and you heard him talk about it, he understood exactly what they would be facing when they went to Athens and when they went to LSU. What kind of pitches, the approach the opposing team would take against his hitters. I feel like out there's less of that. You don't have enough time. You don't. You play, and you got a little bit of time, but I don't know that they've either bought in or that they're adhering to whatever it was he's telling them to do.
Yeah, it could be panic. It could be a little bit. And the kids have really good stuff. I mean, both those pitchers are freaking incredible. My only thing, and again, it's not the end of the world. I may have reorganized the lineup a little bit against the lefty. That's the only thing I could really poke a hole in. And even that, you just got to be better when you're at the plate and see if you can produce a little bit more. But it's 2 baseball games. That's the really hard part here. As I get it, we're out there for a while. We played on Saturday, so it feels like it's this longer, drawn-out trend. But it is 2 baseball games against 2 really good pitchers. So is it really the sample size? It's kind of like the Georgia thing. You know, that's 2 games against 2 good pitchers from Georgia, but does that mean we're world beaters all of a sudden? No. I mean, we weren't world beaters in Baton Rouge. We did just enough to win. But these are 2 games where, yeah, we look like we don't have anything at all. Well, what happens tonight if the kid who's got a 4.40 ERA pitches to his ERA and we light him up for 4 or 5 runs in the first 6 innings? Are we world beaters again? It's just 1 game. The sample size is so damn small on these things.
Yeah, but ABs, they tell you something. And when you're watching a guy swing through pitches middle in and not fouling balls back that are center cut, okay, what's going on here?
Well, it doesn't mean they're terrible. It just means they're slumping.
No, but right. What slumps you can kind of depend on. You can kind of watch a guy go through a slump and know that, all right, well, this will end at some point, but it doesn't usually end in a game. That's why I have 0 expectations. I mean, the players I'm talking about, whether it's, Reese Albert or whoever, they're having bad ABs and they look lost. Now, you're right. Baseball's weird. It can change. They got pitches to hit. Yes, they faced good pitchers, but they got pitches to hit and they didn't hit them. And that tells me there's a confidence problem. That tells me they're not seeing the ball. That tells me they're trying to do too much. They're pulling off the ball.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on in these bad ABs.
Well, I think it's been contagious all year long, though, one way or the other.
That's
for this
fair.
Group.
That's fair.
It's like we talk about
they score in bunches and they get shut out in bunches.
Right, yeah. Like the Raptors, we talked about, we marveled at their ability that somebody will be there. Lowry or Siakam or, of course, Kawhi. But somebody's going to show up or Van Vliet going to hit some shots. Whether or not the other guys do, we'll see. On a night when they're all going, you're screwed. It's like the first half against Golden State in Game 3, I think it was. But this group is not like that. It's avalanche or, just a little snowball.
It's weird, too, because you're depending on some guys in the bottom of the order to get you back to the top that just really couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat, other than Matthew Nelson. Now, you really just aren't finding anything down there. And I don't think that changes. They really haven't hit in a while. I mean, Nander hasn't hit in a long time. He ain't going to start hitting tonight. Maybe.
It was an important sack fly, though. Hey, that kept us alive.
He's
the only thing that produced a run this entire trip to Omaha.
That's fair. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
You know what I did last night? I actually sat and watched the Rays play start to finish as we get set for probables here, wrapping it up. But and they lost 6-3. But I was intrigued by, if you don't do this, and I think it's true in general because I watch the Pirates on a regular basis, and I know you watch the Mets. But something stood out to me that both teams did, and that was sort of fundamentals of the game that I guess just aren't adhered to anymore. The Rays scored a run, pulled it within a run. I think it was 4-3, and they did so on a double with nobody out. They proceeded to swing away the next three hitters. It was the seventh inning, and the Yankees bullpen is one of the best in baseball. So they were going to get a dose of dominance in the eighth and the ninth, which we already know. And really, the Rays were up against what everybody is when they play the Yankees. It's a 5-inning game. If you don't have the lead after 5 with that bullpen, you're in trouble. Would you bunt them over? Would you play for the tie at that point?
Sorry, how much were they down?
4-3.
So it was a one-run game.
They had just made it a one-run game. They hit a double. They had a back-to-back doubles to lead off the seventh, which cut it to 4-3. And they had a guy at second, nobody out, and you had a series of hitters coming up that all hit under 240.
Okay, so it's the bottom of the lineup. I guess you can't manage for lefty-righty splits considering the Yankees have activity in the bullpen.
They do, and they're loaded, and they've got arms galore for days.
So you're probably not going to get, like, if somebody's on deck who's a lefty, but the righty, they might go to the pen for a lefty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a really tough one, especially in the American League. I just don't know that it's done out there.
No, I was wondering about this because I don't watch a ton of American League baseball. I do watch a lot of National League baseball, obviously, and I'm not a play for one run kind of guy. Typically, I'm okay with playing for the big inning. These guys all play for the big inning, but you're going against the Yankees bullpen, and it's a one-run game. And my thought was that basically nobody moves anybody over anymore.
Yeah.
It's a swing and miss game, and you're going against a swing and miss bullpen. They miss bats. That's what they do. They shorten games.
I don't know. The other things I want to know are the speed of the runner at second. So if anything's hit to the outfield, is he going to score? Because at that point, maybe not.
Yeah.
Where are they shifting, and what? So if I have a righty up, where are they shifting? A lefty up, where are they shifting? And does a bunt present itself as maybe even a play for a base hit because of the way they've shifted? I don't think that it's the standard practice. You want 3 cracks at it, and you're going to trust your guy, even if he's a 240 hitter, as long as he doesn't have Mark Reynolds-type strikeouts to pull the ball if he's a lefty or shoot it to the right side if he's a right-handed hitter and move the runner over naturally.
Yeah, they swung and missed. They struck out. He ended up striking out the side. They didn't score another run. They lost the game. And obviously I'm playing results as opposed to process. But it occurs to me, and I started thinking about it in the National League too, that the idea in the late innings of playing for a run to tie the baseball game against a dominant bullpen, which, they exist. They're out there in both leagues. There are dominant bullpens, even though it's a year of a bullpen blowing a lead. It just doesn't exist anymore, and I think there is a time and place for it. I get the evolution of the game, and I understand that outs are precious, and giving them away is something that is frowned upon these days, but I think there's a time and a place. And I was just wondering if you noticed that as well.
Well, yeah, that it doesn't happen that often.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think, honestly, if you look back at our game the other night against Michigan, if you knew how good Henry was going to be, I think in the first inning when Salvatore leads off with a double, you're bunting him over with Reese Albert and giving Mendoza a chance to drive him in. But it's the first inning, so you can't
you're not going to do that. No.
If it's the sixth inning and you're well aware of how good that kid is, you absolutely do that, and it doesn't matter if the 2 hitters up. It just may have been a little early in the game for Kevin Cash to give the green light to that kind of a plan.
Yeah, I'm starting to kind of reconfigure the way I view those situations. The more I watch professional baseball, the more I see that the certain fundamentals of putting the ball in play, which we've talked about for 2 years now, don't exist. There's a way. The idea is to score runs. So the whole introduction of Moneyball was about scoring more runs, how to score more runs. And not giving away outs was a big part of that. But I think using that same fundamental approach, there is a time, especially against the dominant bullpen, where playing for one run is probably, from a percentage chance, a better opportunity than trying to play for the big inning. I think the percentage chance that you score more than one run by playing for the big inning is lower.
I'd like to see the percentage chance, and analytics heads have it at the top of their mind, I'm sure, in that moment. But let's say it's leadoff double. So runner on second, nobody out, versus runner on third with one out. What percentage of times do you score a run in said innings in the two situations?
Well, one would think certainly you score more runs with a runner at third with one out, right?
I don't know. Runner at second with nobody out could even yield a runner at third with one out, and you're playing baseball here without bunting.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that number. I would if I managed.
And who's well, sure.
Yeah,
and who's to say that these trained Major League Baseball hitters that are hitting 240 know how to bunt in the first place? That also matters. Who's coming up to bat? If it's a utility guy, why not? But if it's a guy who's going to slug and hit you 30 and hit 230 for the season.
No, I understand that where you are at in the lineup matters. I agree with you. If obviously my 3-hole hitter is up, I'm going to play for the 2-run homer there. He's there for a reason.
Or a single. I mean,
I'm going to believe that we have a chance to maybe score a bunch of runs that inning. We're down in the 7, 8, 9 area. I got a bunch of slappies up there hitting 220, which they were. Probably going to move them over. Yeah, it's you're playing the percentages either way. It's interesting. Let's do probables.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
As soon as the show is over, we're looking that number up because it's going to bother me otherwise. I want to know. Yeah, and you're right. It matters about the part of the lineup.
Because the out matters too. That it's a runner on second. I would never argue runner on second, one out versus runner on third, one out. But a runner on second with nobody out and a runner on third with one out, chances you score a run in that inning. Interesting.
Well, the Yankees bullpen is a big reason why they're where they're at. And when you watch them parade those arms out there, you go, oh, well, that's different. I mean, obviously, you know it's at the back end. But, and by the way, he threw 103, 102, and 101. That's silly. I mean, we've always known that's what he is.
Is that the abuser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try not to mention him much because I don't like to give him credit, but he is probably still the best in the game.
He's got quick hands, yeah. Mm-hmm. Doesn't use them always on the mound.
Bunch of day baseball. Let's go to the night. Royals, Mariners. We got Brad Keller going for the Royals. Marco Gonzalez goes for the Mariners. Pirates and the Tigers. Buccos lost last night. I know you care. 5-4 to the sorry-ass Tigers. Tom, we're about to swoon for the ages. I watch us, and I have no hope. 32-40.
Really? So it's been a bad 2 weeks.
Oh, we've lost like every game we've played, just about. I think we've lost 10 out of 11 or something like that. Jordan Zimmerman will go for the Tigers. The Pirates with Trevor Williams. He's been good when he pitches. He's often hurt. Phillies, Nationals, Jake Arrieta, Max Scherzer. Angels, Blue Jays, Andrew Haney, Aaron Sanchez. We got the Mets and the Braves. Did you guys get clubbed last night?
No, we clubbed them.
Okay,
it's a miracle.
Something happened.
Got it back to 3 under.
All right. You're hanging tough, buddy.
They had a team meeting yesterday, Jeff. And they came out. Alonso went 4 for 4, reached all 6 times. DeGrom struck out 10 over 8 in the third.
Boom.
And you heard it right here on these airwaves.
97.9 ESPN Radio. Steven Matz goes for the Mets. Max Fried goes for the Braves. We got the Indians and the Rangers. Adam Plutko, Joe Palumbo, which is a fun name to say.
Wow.
He's got a 9 ERA. White Sox, Cubs, Lucas Giolito, John Lester. Red Sox, Twins, Eduardo Rodriguez. Kyle Gibson goes for the Twins. Marlins, Cardinals, Trevor Richards. Daniel Ponce de Leon goes for the Cardinals.
How Floridian.
I still love that. Rockies, D-backs, John Gray, Zach Greinke. Giants, Dodgers, Drew Pomerantz, Rich Hill. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. So I'm going to go, per our discussion earlier in the day, and look up not just what we just talked about, but whether or not I'm, like, seeing things through garnet and gold colored glasses or what. Because if you didn't notice today, if you looked around and if you listened to this station, Florida State came up a lot. Football came up all day today.
Yeah.
Articles, topics of conversation. We are the subject of much debate. And I think the prevailing wisdom is that we have no talent here.
Yeah, I heard Landry on Oliver's show.
And Landry's useless, but yeah.
He made up a name of a player.
Well, he made up a couple of names. He's never seen them play.
He said Robinson and like Masha or something.
No.
I think he was looking for Hamsa.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think he's ever seen us play.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that. I legitimately don't think he's seen us play. So he's useless.
Yeah, they both didn't have Woodby down very good, but Chuck obviously knew that Hamsa wasn't good in coverage. He might be listening to this show, you know.
By the way, Chuck is great.
Yeah, he's
no. I got no problems with Chuck. Chuck knows his players. He knows the teams. He's fine. I think that Landry has no idea what he's talking about and hasn't for years. But he wasn't the only one noting today that we don't have any talent. And there was
no, Chuck saved him by bringing up Hamsa by name. He's like, no, you know, I'm not a guy who's crunched the numbers for a Super Bowl winning team, but Hamsa Nasruddin. I'm like, not Masher or whatever the hell you said.
Whatever you just made up, whom you've never seen play, by the way, Chris Landry. You've never.
I think Robinson's a good player and Masher is a good player. What?
Jerry Smith can really run. Okay. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. What's next? What do we got?
Front row knows.
Yeah, baby.
It's got a collection of new stuff from Omaha and also the Mike Martin interview that was really well received. Actually, the download count for that interview was outstanding for the guys from Front Row Knowles. And then it's the Mets game. The Mets game at 7 o'clock.
Beautiful. Let's go, Mets!